Good morning and welcome to our 132nd weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way this call works is this is an AMA, meaning you can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions, career questions, personal questions, anything you want. And the call ends in about 3 hours. And within a couple of hours of the call being finished, one of my amazing employees that I met on this weekly call named John Klee, what he does is he puts together a list of all questions asked at what times, and he puts it in the description field of this YouTube video so you can get immediate clickable access. So it's good to be back. I was in Florida for the past week visiting my parents and my wife's parents, and my kids went with me as well. They're a little bit older than this. But I watched a movie, and by the way, these are not the three idiots I'm talking about here. The idiots are me, myself, and I. I watched a movie when I was on vacation. It kind of changed me. It's a movie I think that every parent needs to see, and everybody that is still searching for their passion in life. And so as you can see here, the name of the movie is The Three Idiots. And a couple of my students have told me I have to watch it. And it's a movie from Bollywood, released in 2009. I think it's the number one picture ever in India, made close to $100 million, I think. But the crux of the movie is that if what you do your entire life is you try to please other people when it comes to your career, then what will ultimately happen is you'll end up being incredibly depressed. And you really have to chase a career that you're most passionate about. Otherwise, you'll never fulfill your full potential in life. And I believe that when you have small kids, you have small problems. These are my kids. But when you have big kids, you have big problems if you try to force them to go down a certain career path. And so, Mark Twain once said, the two most important days in your life are number one, the day you're born, and number two, the day you find out why. And while you watch that movie, and please watch everyone, it's great. I want you to think to yourself, am I getting up every day and doing what I'm most passionate about or not? And, what's the point? What were we put on this planet for? Part of it is to, leave this world in a better condition than when we entered it, doing our part. But it's also to be happy and enjoy doing what you're doing. And if you enjoy doing what you're doing, you'll be incredibly productive and successful. So the bottom line is, if you get a chance, and if you've not already seen the movie Three Idiots, please check it out. It's a worthwhile investment. I loved it. I laughed and I cried a couple times as well. Okay. All right. Let me get some water here. All right. Harsh. I see Harsh. You just entered a comment. I'll catch up to your comment in a minute. It was Harsh. You mentioned I should watch the movie Three Idiots. So God bless you. Thank you for that. And so did Kevin Patel, who graduated from my MBA program last year. A couple more things I want to talk about before I take your questions. So there's a book that I read on my honeymoon called The Art of Happiness. And I recommend everybody read it. It's amazing. It's by the Dalai Lama. And the Dalai Lama said that one of the problems or issues with Western society, and all societies have problems, of course, but one of the issues with Western society is that what we do is we sacrifice our health, our entire lives, in order to make money. And then what happens is at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money in order to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realized we never really lived to begin with. And so for those of you that are soul searching and looking for a great book to put your life in perspective, I want you to please read, if you haven't already, that book. It's wonderful. And if you can't enjoy a cup of coffee, then you can't enjoy a Lamborghini. So, chasing money, just for the sake of acquiring a lot of money to impress other people, it's not worth it. I've been there. I've done that before. And look, I know we all need money to survive. I get it. But you got to get to a point where we say enough is enough. Check out that book if you get a chance. It really puts things into perspective. I love it. All right, 2 more quick things I want to talk about, then I'll take your questions here. All right. So when I worked at a big hedge fund years ago called Citadel, it was great. What happened was management hired 25-year CIA and FBI alumni, so to speak, to teach us how to tell if somebody is lying. And it's a wonderful skill to have in business and in life in general, because you can kind of figure out, using what I'm about to tell you, if somebody may be lying. Now, this doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's really, really good in business, especially. And I remember those FBI and CIA agents that were hired, the retired ones, to train us. They had us watch videos on television, like CNBC interviews with executives, like the former CEO of Sanjay Gupta is his name, from Computer Associates. And so, in order to tell if somebody is lying, there's 4 things to look at, and you need to get at least 2 of the following 4 to be valid, or at least notice these patterns to maybe conclude somebody is not telling the truth. Okay, so let me talk about what these are. The first one is if somebody rambles on and on and on when answering a very simple yes or no question, it means they may be lying. Okay, that's number 1. Look for this when you watch interviews on television too, with athletes or CEOs or even very famous people. And it's killing me, but I can't say, but I caught somebody lying, I think, a couple times when she was interviewed recently. I won't go there. So rambling, like I am now. That's the first one. The second way to tell if somebody is lying, and try to make sure that at least 2 or 3 or 4 of these are valid, and it doesn't work in all cases, okay? The second way to tell if somebody is lying is if when you ask them a yes or no question or an important question, and they break eye contact, okay? I tend to break eye contact every now and then, it's just my demeanor. But if I didn't do that often, then I might be lying. Maybe. That's the second thing. Okay, so the first one is rambling. The second one is breaking eye contact. Now let's move on to the third one. And I'm buying myself time here. I'm using crutch words, right? Moving on to number 3. The third way to tell if somebody is lying is if they touch their face a lot. Okay, and provided they don't usually touch their face. And the fourth and final way to tell if somebody is lying is if they're shaking a bit. Okay, and that's what lie detector tests do. Like in this, let me go back a slide here. In this wonderful movie, Meet the Parents, Ben Stiller, and I met Ben Stiller. I was in a movie with him years ago. I'll tell you the story if you care. It's a funny story. The lie detector test, what it does, it tests to see if you're nervous. And you can look to see if somebody's foot is shaking a bit. Now, if they've had too much coffee, like I like to do sometimes, then it's a moot point if they're shaking a bit. And the bottom line, though, is, and this is Brody from a great show called Homeland, which I wish was still on. The bottom line, though, is that if you find 2, 3, or 4 of the aforementioned patterns when somebody is talking to you, they may be lying. Okay. So again, the bottom line is you look for this. Number 1, are they rambling, like I am right now? Are they rambling? Number two, do they break eye contact? Okay, when answering a question. And I look down a lot, it's just my demeanor, right? So you got to make sure that the person's demeanor doesn't have these traits, whatever. The third way to tell if somebody is lying is if they touch their face. Okay. And the fourth way to tell if somebody is lying is if they're shaking a bit. Okay, and that's what a lie detector test does. So hopefully that's helpful. If you have questions about that, please let me know. And look for those signs, please, in business and in your personal lives as well. They're not always 100% accurate, but a couple data points does make a trend. Okay. All right. I'm going to get some water here, man. Christine bought this, my wife bought this new foam mattress, and it's tough for me to sleep on it last night, but I'll figure it out. Yeah. You know what that is? That's the world's smallest violin. All right, one more topic, then I'll get your questions here. Whoops, actually that's it for today. Okay, good. So let me just turn the lights on here, set the mood. I like these ones here. Yeah, and so you can tell that we made some changes here. Matt, my wonderful chief creative officer, came over to help me yesterday as well. We're up late last night, and so what I'm doing is I'm actually transitioning this studio here into a professional quotes in brackets there, professional production studio. Yeah. So anyway, I was up late working on that. So kind of fun. All right, moving on to questions, which is why we're here. Thank you, everyone, for your patience with me today. All right. First question I've got is from Svapnel, who posted this last night at 9:30 p.m. my time. Wow. Hello, Chris. Hope you had a great holiday. I did. Thank you. I did. It's good to be back. And that's how you know you're doing what you're passionate about, is you want to do work on holiday. Obviously, my kids, Christine, and my parents, her parents are more important. But you want to do work on holiday because you love it so much. And I had to force myself not to do it. And I'm glad I did. I got to spend quality time with them. Yeah. Also, ask yourself, and Warren Buffett once guest lectured in my class when I was at Columbia University doing my MBA. And his wife was there as well. God bless her. She's no longer with us, but she was teasing him. She was teasing him during that class because she said that during their honeymoon, the only book he brought was The Intelligent Investor, right? Which is the most important finance book probably ever written. And so for all of us, ask yourself, what book would you bring on your honeymoon? What one book? And maybe that's a telltale to signal to you what your career should be. Okay. All right, next up we got Svapnel, who's saying, what's your advice on how to manage a portfolio and control your emotions when your portfolio goes down a lot? Yeah, it's a great question. So I've worked for a lot of very successful people. Many of them are billionaires, and most of them are incredibly unemotional, borderline Asperger's. And I won't mention who they are, but they're unemotional. They never get too happy when things go well, and they don't get upset when things don't go well. And so you got to keep your emotions in check in business. Don't be emotional. And my dad, when I was younger, he told me, Chris, if you ever write, this is old school, but if you ever write a nasty letter, don't mail it, put it in your drawer. And the next day when you wake up, if you still feel the same way, then mail it. Right. So you got to kind of keep emotion in check. And what I do also, and I used to do this when I managed my own hedge fund years ago, was I meditated and I conditioned myself so that when I came home and I touched the doorknob, I wasn't allowed to think about work anymore, which is hard. My house is a sacred temple, these are the most important people in my life, and Christine as well. So you got to condition yourself that way. Okay. And also, like when you start a company, or if you're in an industry that's stressful, don't get too happy when things go well. And I'm not saying that to be a downer or to be negative at all. You all know I'm a very positive person. I say that because if you get too happy when things go well, then when things don't go well, you might freak out. Yeah. And always ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen if you're ever worried about something? It's usually not the end of the world. And for me personally, when it comes to my career, I never get worried because I always tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen, which puts me at ease. All right. Next up, do you think gold is undervalued and more demand will be created in the future? So I like to buy assets in general, all assets, when everyone else is freaking out and selling them. Okay, so you got to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And I'm currently working on creating an options course right now, the complete options, futures, derivatives course. And I think the most important telltale to when to buy stocks is as follows, okay? I put my reputation behind this because this is how I've invested for years. So let's go over here. So there's something called there's something my kid was trying to install GTA 5 mods on my computer. Yeah. So there's something called the VIX, and if you go to finance.yahoo.com, the VIX, and you can on the Chicago Board of Exchange, which is an options market. And what the VIX means is when people are freaking out about what's going to happen in the future, the VIX goes up a lot. And the VIX basically just measures what the market is expecting volatility to be in the Standard & Poor's 500 stock market index over the next 30 days. And when it spikes materially, this is when you beep, beep, beep. This is when you back up the truck and you buy. You buy, and it'll feel so uncomfortable. It'll feel like the world is ending. I'll give you a couple of data points here because I've done this in my career over the years. So let me go here to maximum. Okay, so and this index was created it was actually created in 1989. So if we go back here historically, you'll see it spiked a bit here, not tremendously, but I remember by December of 1990. When the Gulf War once started, it was at 36. You see that on the right? And it feels so uncomfortable to invest, but this is when you do it. And I'm going to show you more data points, and you'll have this incredible aha moment. So if we go back here, this here was the Asian financial crisis. Okay, I worked at Goldman Sachs on the trading floor then back in the fall of 1998. And you see here that the VIX spiked to 43. Okay. Stick with me here. This is awesome. Then after 9/11, of course, we saw it spike here. Okay, when the markets opened up around the 18th of September 2001, it spiked to 38 again. Okay, it spiked here again, and then if we go over here, 2008, the financial crisis, the highest it got when we were within 24 hours of bank machines not working was 81. Remember that number, okay? And these are always telltales to buy stocks. And it feels really uncomfortable. But let me show you how awful things got last year, okay, in March. So if we go over here to March of 2000, hold on a second here. Yeah, right here. It's got to 83. Actually went even a little bit higher than that. It actually went to an all-time high in March of last year. And that's when you buy stocks, right? At least in size, if you have dry powder. You back up the chart when the VIX is spiking. And the reason you do it is because VIX measures fear. It's a fear index, the ticker VIX. And when you see it spike, you're going to want to sell stocks because something will happen in the world. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm so worried. I can't buy stocks now. You have to. You have to. Why? Because everyone's selling. And as Warren Buffett once said, the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. So when everyone's freaking out, that's when you back up the truck because you got to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. Otherwise, if you buy a product that everybody loves or a financial instrument, everybody owns it, let's say, they love it. There aren't as many new investors to push it higher. Yeah. And the first time you back up the truck and buy stocks, when the VIX spikes a lot, it's going to feel so darn uncomfortable. It's supposed to. It's supposed to. Because the whole world is uncomfortable at that point. So the bottom line is, when the VIX spikes materially, back up the truck, buy stocks no matter what. And every asset class is like that too. So for me, for example, my wife and I, Christine and I, right after 9/11, we lived in New York City. I worked at Goldman. It was terrible. But right after 9/11, we bought our first apartment on the Upper East Side. And it felt so scary to do it. But that's the best time, when the VIX is spiking and everyone's freaking out. Yeah. All right. Next up, Tony. Hey, Tony, how are you? Tony is from Montreal. He lives in Toronto, I think. Yeah. And his wife works at Blake's, right? That's a great law firm there. So Tony, who's a massive Toronto Maple Leafs fan only, said, "Hey, Chris, once again, thanks for your live calls each week. You're most welcome. Thank you for making this possible, all of you, and being here. Here's my questions. If you had to start over on Udemy, what are some things you'd avoid doing?" That's a great question. Great question. So, and for those of you that don't teach online, and I don't get comped by what I'm saying, Udemy is an algorithm. If my course sucks, many of which they do, they just won't sell. But if I had to start over, what I would do is I would find somebody like me on Udemy, and what I would do is I would go to all of their courses and I would read the 1-star reviews, okay, and try to make a better course. And it's a good way to do it because I believe in educational Darwinism to the extent that the best courses sell the most, which is awesome because it's great for consumers, the student, the customer there. So if we go here to business, and then we'll go to here, we'll go to my course here. And I went into incognito because I don't want to show all my performance data. But if we click here, for example, on this course of mine, what I would recommend you do is go down and just look at the 1-star reviews. Okay, there's a ton of them. Okay, so yeah, there's lots of them. And some of them are mean, but some of them are kind of, I don't know, it's like reading mean tweets on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Some of them are funny. Yeah. Okay, so right here, for example, 7 months ago, Chris, you had me going up until you made a comment that Goldman is a solid, ethical company. I worked at Goldman. I was proud to work there. So maybe don't be too positive about certain companies, whatever. Keep reading through it. They're endless. They're endless. Oh my gosh, there's so many 1-star reviews because I suck so bad with a lot of my courses. What you can also do is go to my Udemy profile here. And what I've done is I've created a couple of courses that are free that teach you how to make an online course. And they're based on mistakes that I've made. And I have one called 40 Tips on How to Make a Great Online Course. I published it in many languages. I spent a lot of money on this because I humbly do believe that education can fix all problems in the world. But you can watch these because there are 40 tips that I wish I knew in hindsight that I could have told myself to be a better teacher on Udemy. So I've got two courses. One's called 40 Tips, another one's called Another 40 Tips. I'm not very creative. So anyway, you can check that out if you want to, and I think it's helpful to be intellectually honest because I've made so many mistakes teaching online, and I don't want you all to make the same mistakes I make. Yeah. Okay. Another thing also, when you're making a course on Udemy, what I want you to think about, just like when you start a business, I want you to think about the size of the total addressable market. You know, never start a company in a tiny market. Okay, you don't want to be a big fish in a small pond. I recommend looking at, a massive topic that everybody on the planet or many people will be interested in. You know, for example, for me, I created this course called the Complete Hedge Fund course years ago, and it wasn't selling because not everybody wants to work in a hedge fund or start a hedge fund like I humbly did. And so what I did was I cut it in half. And I called part of it Introduction to Finance, Accounting, Valuation, and Modeling. And that course has sold 10 times more than the hedge fund course. So always think of a massive total addressable market in all aspects of business. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next up is Tony is saying, second question. How do you promote your first Udemy course? Can you do it via YouTube or Google Ads, or where would you start? Thank you. Yeah. So it's tricky, but the one thing I'll say is just keep at it. Like, don't give up. Don't give up. And let me get a prop here. Hold on one second. Your first course is not going to be as great as your later courses. Okay, so the Beatles, their first albums weren't that. I mean, they're good, but they weren't as good as their later albums, which are these ones. These are their later albums, Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper in the late 60s. Their stuff in the early 60s wasn't as sophisticated. The sound quality wasn't as great, etc. With Please Please Me Help and all that stuff. So I want you to keep at it. And when you go to make these courses on Udemy, I don't want you to just make one. I want you to make a bunch of them. And just tell yourself that I'm going to be a pit bull on a pork chop. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep making courses until I hit a vein or one of them is touched by God, whatever it is, and sells well. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say. Just keep making them. And just like with Field of Dreams, that wonderful movie with Kevin Costner, if you build it, they will come. Just be patient and don't give up, please. Because as Michael Jordan said, I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that's why I've succeeded. And I failed a lot with my early courses, but I kept at it. Yeah. But the best way, I think, to market in general for all products and services, not just Udemy courses, but is through YouTube. So YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you can get immediate access to billions of potential customers for free. And so I think YouTube is the best advertising vehicle on the planet that's ever been created. And it's free to use. It's amazing. It's amazing. And so you gotta be smart about it too, and be mindful of your own time. And so what I do is I repurpose a lot of content. I write once and we can read many. And so, for example, with this weekly call, which is 3 hours long, what we do is we take the 7 best questions asked and we make 7 vlogs for the rest of the week from it. And then you'll see that at the 13-second mark in all my YouTube videos, there's an advertisement where you can click to buy courses, whatever it is. Now, what you have to do in the sharing economy, as Gary Vaynerchuk calls it, you have to help. You have to help people. You have to add value. And since the beginning of time, there's been this wonderful saying, give and you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's true. It's true. Some call it karma. Some call it karma synchronicity. But if you help other people with content on YouTube, then what happens is good things happen in the long run. But you have to want to do it with your heart. It can't be just to chase money. And so I think the best way to advertise a Udemy course or your own personal brand is to make a lot of YouTube videos. And also to write often on LinkedIn. That's what I used to do. I just put videos up on LinkedIn now, but it helps. And I want you all to be able to write a book as well. And if you want to write a book, anybody can do this. If I can do it, anybody can. If you want to write a book, just go to my website and download the template, okay? And this will help you develop your brand. And this template here at Write Book, HarounVentures.com, all lowercase Write Book. If you click it here, this template, it's just a Microsoft Word document. And on the first page of this, it tells you how to get the print version, the Kindle version, and the Audible version done, all for free. This is the template. That's it. So all you do is you fill it in. And then after you write the whole thing, you go back here to the table of contents, you right-click in Microsoft Word and select repaginate or update, whatever it is. Yeah. And so that's a great way to build your brand as well. And then what you can do, and this is what I did, was I wrote my first book, which was called 101 Crucial Lessons They Don't Teach You in Business School. Then I gutted it by copying each chapter and pasting it into LinkedIn 101 times, I guess. And I also made videos about it as well. So I repurposed that content. And at first, I didn't get any likes at all. And, some people would have said, Chris, why are you doing that? It's embarrassing. Well, after a while, it works. You just got to think of the end in mind and be stubborn and be a pit bull and a pork chop, and just consistent as well. Yeah. And if you have any other questions about how to build your own personal brand, please let me know. I also have a course called the Complete YouTube course, which is on Udemy that you can check out if you want to. Yeah. All right. Next question is, do you do promotions on YouTube or Google Ads when you start? Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. So I wouldn't recommend ever using Google ads or YouTube ads or Facebook ads to market a product that might get discounted a lot, right? So if you have a product, for example, that lists for $100, but you usually sell it for $10, it's hard to make money consistently off doing that. If you want to make money that way, you have to sell a product or a course that costs more than $100. And so what we've done very successfully, humbly, is we've marketed my MBA degree program using YouTube ads as well as using Facebook, etc. Yeah, but that's a higher price point product. It lists for $9.99. Go to my website for more details. But because it's more expensive, I can afford to pay $150, which I do sometimes, to acquire one customer using Google Ads. Yeah. And we're not perfect yet, but we're getting a lot better with it as well. Yeah. It's competitive, man. You're competing against everybody in the world on the internet, right? All right, next up, Vendel. Hey, how are you? I've never seen you on the call before. I hope you join us again. Vendel is saying, hey, Chris, in a global macro fund, how do you analyze the different currencies, etc.? What are the main differences between a global macro analyst and a normal analyst who would trade bonds, stocks, etc.? Yeah. So for those of you not familiar with what a global macro fund is, just think about George Soros. So when he managed his hedge fund and he made $1 billion in one day shorting the British pound, he also made about $1 billion in one day shorting the Thai baht. And so the British pounds and the Thai baht years ago, they were fixed currencies, meaning they didn't go up and down when people wanted to buy more dollars or whatever currencies. They stayed fixed, pegged to other currencies. And a lot of countries do this, like in the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica, etc. They might have a fixed currency to the U.S. dollar because a lot of U.S. travelers go there, and it makes sense for them not to see volatility with the value of the trip they're spending in dollars or Bayesian dollars, for example. Yeah. And so what George Soros did at his macro hedge fund was he forced the Thai baht to break, right? Because it was fixed. And he did the same thing with the British pound. Because if you want your currency to be fixed or pegged, they call it, to other currencies, what you have to do is you have to buy and sell a lot of your own currency in order to make sure that it is exactly priced at where you want it to be relative to the US dollar or a basket of other currencies. But what you can do is if you force that country to run out of money using derivative products, you can make a lot of money. And that's why people aren't really a big fan of George Soros over in Thailand. Yeah. But in general, if you're a macro fund analyst at one of those bigger picture funds, you're going to be looking at geopolitical events. You're going to be looking at potential trade wars. You're going to be looking at very high level stuff. And it's very hard to do because it's hard for us to be able to predict if there's going to be a trade war, which would make certain currencies be devalued materially, for example. So that's top down. If you're a regular financial analyst, it's more bottoms up, where you do a lot of research to pick stocks. And I have a lot of courses that cover that if you want to go more detail on that. Yeah. All right. Next up, Nick is saying, hey, Chris. Hey, Nick. I recently contacted a recent graduate from my school on LinkedIn. I sent him a personalized invite, but I've not received any response so far. How long should I wait? Yeah. So if it's somebody that, like, what I would do is I would include a nice little note explaining who you are and all that stuff whenever you send a message. Okay, so I'll show you right now. So I have over 30,000 whatever contacts on LinkedIn. I can't really accept that many more because it tops out. So what I do with my LinkedIn account is I don't accept them anymore unless somebody mentions something like, I don't know, I'm one of your students. So I've got a lot of outstanding requests here. So right here, for example, this is one of my students, Paolo. So I'll accept. The reason I'm not accepting any more LinkedIn contacts unless somebody lists a note is because there's a rule that you cannot have more than 30,000 contacts Okay. And so it shows here I have over 30,000 followers, right? But I think I have 27,000 contacts so far. So anyway, that's what I recommend. Always find something you have in common with the person as a hook, and keep it short because less is more. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Mohammed is saying, hey, Chris, a couple of weeks ago, I came across the project you're currently working on, Project Magu. Thank you. And then you wrote, I have to say it's amazing. I was wondering if there's anything I can help with. Thank you. And I appreciate that. And you wrote, I have experience with social media, etc. Thank you. God bless you, Mohammed, for asking. Thank you. And for anybody curious what Project Magu is, it's one of my wonderful students I met on Udemy, actually, named Vital. And what we've done is, he's from Rwanda. And what we're doing is we're actually building schools in Rwanda. And because of COVID, we're a bit behind schedule. Project Magu. Is that right? Did I spell it? Oh, .org. Here we go. That's right. There you go. .org. Yeah. So if you go here, you can watch just a video of Vital and I, and donate whatever if you want to. And we made this course on Udemy, or he did actually with my staff. It's a French version of my course, an entire MBA in one course, and all the proceeds go to building schools in Rwanda. And my vision of the world, and if you want, you can watch my TEDx talk from 2016, 8 million years ago. But my TEDx talk back then, I talked about how technology, education, and acceptance, TEAT, can fix all problems in the world. And my vision has always been to be able to access internet, high-speed internet, leveraging satellites. And I talked about it back then before the technology existed. Now it exists because of Elon Musk, who I will ask one day. I got one card I can play with him through friends. I'll ask him to give us free internet access. So what we're doing is we're putting solar on the roof of these schools. So they're going to be completely powered by the sun. It's good for the environment as well. And there's a ton of computers in those little schools as well. And eventually we want to get Elon Musk's satellite access to internet. Thank you so much for asking. I think we're good at this point, but thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. But eventually what I want to do is I want to get Bill and Melinda involved. And I met Bill Gates a couple times before. Once Vital and I get the blueprint down and we figure it out, and I'm going to make a lot of mistakes in this process like I always do. But once we figure it out, we're going to create a business plan and share it with Bill and Melinda and others as well, so that anybody can do what we're doing in every country. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I've got Jack. Hey, Jack. Hey, Chris. Hope all's well. Likewise. I was recently waitlisted by Columbia University. Oh, congratulations. That's a great school. Yeah. By Columbia University. And I was wondering if you have any tips on how I can increase my chances of getting off the waitlist. Absolutely. Yeah. I was waitlisted too before I got into business school there. So here's what I did. When I was put on the waitlist, what I did was I wrote an essay, and I also got another letter of recommendation. In the essay, what I did was an additional essay. I talked about what I had done since I submitted my application the year before, whatever it was. I also had another person submit a letter of recommendation as well, and then I mailed them both into to Columbia. Yeah, and they won't tell you if yes or no if that will work, but I think it works. Yeah, and if you're curious what to write about yourself to make yourself sound more unique and interesting, diverse, and all that great stuff. There's a great book I recommend reading, which has nothing to do with undergrad, but it's called Getting In, or Marketing Yourself to Getting Into the Top MBA Schools. And it's made by Carpenter and Carpenter. Just remember that. Husband and wife team. Search for MBA book Carpenter. And it'll teach you how to write essays. Yeah. In a way that the admissions committee loves to see. Next up, we have Peyton. How are you? Peyton's one of my amazing MBA students. He's great. He's got a YouTube channel that's taken off. It's awesome. He's a good dude. He's in the United States Navy, and he's in San Diego. So Peyton wrote, welcome back, friend. Hope all is well with you and you enjoyed your much-needed vacation. I did. Thank you. Thank you. It was fun. It was fun. The weather was. I love Florida, and we're looking to buy a place there as well. Yeah. So as an investment, and I'm making a course called the Complete Real Estate course coming out later this year as well. And I'm going to talk about the condo I bought in Florida and a building I bought not too long ago in Canada as well. Yeah. Excuse me. Good to see you, brother. All right. Muhammad is saying, what do you think about a boss who loves to scold his team every time his team makes mistakes? Should I educate him by applying pressure? Is it common in the business world? It's not common. No. So I think that the best managers in history, what they do is they praise in public and they only criticize in private. Because there's nothing worse than being berated or criticized by your boss in front of all your peers. It destroys a corporate culture. And whoever this prick is, he's shooting himself in the foot. He's destroying the culture. He's basically making people not want to be loyal. And I've been there too, dude. I've worked for schmucks, really difficult people. I've worked for great people as well. I'll never say who the schmucks were. But what I found is that I learned more about business from working for people that shouldn't be managing people than I have from people that should be managing people. And the reason is because when you're being mistreated or mismanaged, it's the silver lining, perception becomes reality. The silver lining is that you tell yourself, I will never treat somebody like that ever again in my life. And it motivates you to get the hell out of there as well. It's a good thing. With frustration comes breakthrough. I remember I worked at a firm called Accenture years ago. It's a good firm. It is. And there was this one partner, and I'll never name his name. Actually, he was an associate partner from the Orange County office. And I was working with a team, I was a grunt, on the merger of Manulife and Confederation Life in Toronto on Jarvis Street. And one night at 10 p.m., and I was new, I was green, he said, Chris, can you print out a database report? And I tried really hard, but I didn't understand what primary key in all these fields SQL was at the time. And I went up to him and I said, and I didn't want to break the database. I said, I tried so hard. I'm so sorry. I just can't figure it out. And in front of people, whatever, he looked at me and he goes, it's because you're incompetent. And then he turned around and he walked away. And I was shocked. I was hurt, whatever. Now it's like Teflon for me. I'm not sensitive anymore. But I was hurt, but I wish I could tell you his name because I want to thank him because he motivated me to get a much better job. Yeah. And so the bottom line is, if you're being mistreated, channel that frustration and find a better gig. And your homework today, please do this, is go to my YouTube channel and search for the words corporate bully. It's a vlog I made that I'm most proud of. And by the way, we're coming up on our 1,000th vlog, right? I've vlogged 1,000 days in a row, and I'll do it for the rest of my life as well. So again, and in the 1,000th vlog, what we're going to do is I'm going to repost that one. Do a search on my YouTube channel for Corporate Bully. I don't think people change. Like, if that guy's a jerk, that boss, I don't think he's going to change. People rarely change, after they're a teenager. So I think if you're a jerk in school when you're younger, you're going to be a jerk in the corporate world as well. Yeah. All right. Harsh is saying, I love you, Chris. I missed you a lot. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I thought of you a lot on my vacation because I watched that movie because of you. And Kevin Patel, one of my MBA students, called 3 Idiots. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, you got to watch it. Turn me off right now. Go watch it, man. It's life-changing and funny. I laughed and cried a couple times. Yeah. All right. And then you wrote, the last 10 to 11 days are very tough because I got infected by coronavirus and it was very serious. Oh, my God. I'm so sorry. And then you wrote here, Harsh wrote, but now I'm recovering good. And I have pretty good health. Excellent. I'm so sorry you went through that. And I'm getting my first shot today. I didn't get it earlier. I could have, because if you write down you're a teacher, right? They let you get it first. But I'm not a real teacher. But today is the first day that anybody in America can get it. So I'm going to Walgreens tonight to get my first dose, the Pfizer version. Yeah. And then you wrote here, but during this time, I was thinking about what will happen to my future. Will the business that I will start be successful or not? Yeah. So what I recommend, Harsh, is I have a course called the Complete Business Plan course. And I really do believe that failing to plan is planning to fail. And most people don't write a business plan. Check out my course, though, the Complete Business Plan course. I promise you it will work or your money back. As with all my courses and programs, MBA programs, etc., there's a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. Yeah. And I'm here to help you. You can always ask me questions on this weekly call as well. I'm here for you. These office hours will never end until I turn 200. It'll never end. Yeah. All right. Next up, Khalil is saying, please, in your business plan course, is there any section that shows you the whole written report? So there's 50 templates that I include. And those 50 templates is where you put the entire business plan from Excel. You copy and paste. Yeah. And I explain it in one of the last lectures there. Yeah. All right. Next up, then you wrote, why is there no market research? There is. I ask you tons of questions about market research, top-down stuff. Tons of questions that you complete in that business plan course about market research. There's a lot in there. All right. Next up, Anurag is saying, hey, Chris, how was your vacation? It was great, thanks. It was great. But I'm happy to be back. I have a permanent vacation. My life doing this. Yeah. It's fun. Next up, Dummy Indices is saying, is investing in low-value indexes better than high-value indexes, given that low liquidity is an issue with low-value indexes? Yeah. So I don't like investing in anything ever that has low liquidity, meaning it doesn't trade that much each day, because a lot of people learned in 2008 that illiquid stocks own you, rather than vice versa in a down market. And a lot of hedge funds went belly up in the fall of 2008 because they owned really, really illiquid stocks that didn't trade that much. They trade by appointment. That's what they joke about on Wall Street. And so those stocks, a lot of them got dragged down to penny stock territory and people went belly up. Yeah. I always, when I used to manage institutional money, I would make sure that I would look at the average daily trading volume to see if I could get in and out of a position within a day or so. And for all of us, I don't think you should ever buy a stock that you can't get out of if need be, meaning pulling the ripcord if something happens, that you can't get out of in like an hour, right? And so if you're going to invest, say, I don't know, $1,000 in a stock, make sure that each hour it trades at least $1,000 worth. Yeah. Okay. And Manoj wrote, Namaskar, Chris Guru. Thank you. God bless you. I like your emoji tool. Very cool. Okay. And then Harsh is saying, considering that I failed throughout my life till this point, but I'm a fighter, how can I be successful? Yeah. Don't lose hope, man. Don't lose hope, because as Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. You only have to be right one time. So keep at it. And I'm here to humbly help you forever for free if you ever have questions about business or anything. Yeah, together we'll do great things. Okay. All right, next question is investing in indexes, does it make sense in a bearish market more than stocks? Is there any edge? Yeah. So typically, when we're in a bear market, so bear market, think of the movie The Remnant with Leo DiCaprio. Awful, bad. Bear market, bad. Bull market, good. Like running with the bulls, it's fun. That's how you remember. Now you never forget. Bull market, good market. Bear market, bad market. But in a bear market, what I've typically done when I've managed money at hedge funds, etc., is I've bought lower beta stocks. Okay, and so indexes all have low betas, right? Because what a beta is basically how volatile a stock is relative to an index. Let me explain that. So it's calculus, right? This is the only time calculus will ever make sense in your life and business. The only time you'll need it. But beta means the rise over the run, or the rate of change. And so the index, the S&P 500 index, is given automatically, you have to accept this, a beta of 1. Okay? A beta of 1. And other stocks are either more volatile or less volatile than the S&P. And so the beta of a stock that's really risky, right, is usually 1.5 to 2, which means if the S&P goes up 1%, right, then that risky stock, which has a beta of 1.5 to 2, will go up 1.5 to 2%. And it'll also go down a similar amount as well. And so what happens is people like to own high beta risky stocks in bull markets because everything is melting up. And then in a bear market, people like to own low beta stocks. And so I would think in general, indexes would outperform in a bear market. They would outperform stocks that have high betas, meaning more risky assets. Yeah. All right. Next up, Hashem wrote, "Hey, Chris, hey, do you think we'll have a commodity bull market in the next 10 years? I do. I mean, I for the next 100 years for sure. Yeah. So what I like about commodities is that they're scarce. You know, it's like my grandfather, God bless him. He used to say to me, Chrissy, buy land. They're not making it anymore. And so I love the scarcity of commodities in the long run. And if you want, you can read a great book from a brilliant man named Jim Rogers. And Jim's book is called A Bull in China. He's a little bit too bullish or positive about commodities longer term, but it'll change your outlook on commodities in general. And I remember, so right now I'm putting together the complete options, derivatives, and futures course. And as part of it, I'm talking about a case study on what Southwest Airlines did. This is fascinating. So in 2004, the CFO of Southwest Airlines, he realized, what's our biggest expense for airlines? What do you think it is? One of the biggest expenses is always oil. And the price of oil was just under $30 in 2003 when he first started thinking about what I'm about to tell you. And so he thought to himself, well, what if the price of oil goes up a lot? We're screwed. Because at that point in time, from 2000 to 2003, the price of oil went up 20%. But ticket prices for airlines went down slightly. So what he did was this. He used the derivative markets to lock in the price of oil for 5 or 10 years at a low price. And then what happened was by the year 2008, in the summer, right before the Beijing Olympics, the price of oil temporarily hit $150 per barrel. And so Southwest made a fortune. They were predatory, they cut prices, and they kind of forced the other airlines into bankruptcy. And so that was using options contracts, which I'll be talking about in a course coming soon called the Complete Options, Derivatives, and Futures course. And so the way I think about China longer term, and this is amazing. I met with the CFO of a company called United Technologies, which makes the Otis elevator brand. And this was years ago. This is back in 2006, I think, yeah. And the CFO of United Technology told me, he said, Chris, based on our research and what we see in our pipeline, China is going to build more buildings in the next 5 years than the cumulative total of all buildings ever built in every country since the beginning of time. Wow. And so at that point, and they were doing it, basically China was doing that because they were building up towards the Olympics, which was the mother of all positive catalysts. I don't want to talk about the current Olympics, but back then the Beijing Olympics. Okay. And so what they were doing was China it was their coming of age party, I should say, where the whole world was going to be in Beijing in 2008. And so what they did was they built up the infrastructure, hundreds of miles all around Beijing, across China, to show the world what they have. And in order to do that, if you think about the supply chain, they need a lot of oil. They also need a lot of copper, iron ore, steel, etc. And so all commodities went up materially. And this is fascinating, but what China does is every year they build the equivalent electricity grid infrastructure every year of the United Kingdom. Every year. What goes into infrastructure? All the aforementioned commodities I mentioned. So anyway, I think that commodities are a great investment longer term. When you buy when everyone's freaking out. You know, it's like catch a falling knife. You look at the chart, looks like death feels uncomfortable. The RSI is oversold and the VIX is spiking, VIX. That's when you back up the truck. Yeah. So I'm bullish on commodities in the very, very long run. Yeah. And I have one of my students named Mark in my MBA program. He's got a business plan where he's thinking about asteroid mining. How cool is that? All right. Next up, ePronto is saying, hey, Chris, I started your MBA program and enormously enjoying it so far. Thanks. Thank you, ePronto. I appreciate that. Thank you. My question is unrelated to the program, but is the risk of losing money with corporate and bonds, corporate and government bonds regulated? Yeah. So what happens when it comes to bonds, and for all of you not familiar with bonds, it's basically debt. Right. And so if a company goes bankrupt, the first people to get their money back, the people with the senior claim, are the bondholders, the debt holders. Okay. Then you got the preferred shareholders. They get preferential treatment, hence the name preferred. Then the lowest of the low is the common shareholders, which is what we usually when we buy stocks, we're common shareholders. So what happens in that market, the bond market, is there are a couple ratings agencies that will put their seal of approval on investments. And the way it works is this. There's companies like Standard & Poor's as well as Moody's. And it works like this. The best rating is AAA, then it goes AA, then A, then triple B, double B, you get the picture. And anything below A is considered too risky. They call it high yield, but they used to call it junk bonds, which is an industry Michael Milken, a wonderful humanitarian, created back in the 1980s at Drexel on the west coast here. Yeah. I said that on purpose, left coast. Yeah. The taxes are killing me here. Yeah. So anyway, the bonds rating agencies, what they do is they help you understand if there's a lot of risk or not. And the way that bonds are priced is as follows. There's something called a yield curve. Okay, and this is fascinating, but the yield curve basically prices what the market thinks interest rates are going to be in the long run. And you can always, and then corporate bonds are priced off of this as well. Love this guy. So if we go to, let me just go to Treasury. You can go to the Treasury website if you want to. See Treasury, yeah, right here, treasury.gov, United States Department of Treasury, yeah. And so right here, what you can do is you can find out what interest rates are at, okay? And the way it works is this. So as of April 1st, for example, the 1 month interest rate is priced at 0.02%, which is insanely low because there are issues with the world because of COVID, obviously. So every government has interest rates very low to try to make sure that people don't save, they spend a lot, which is good for the economy as well. Yeah. And good for the stock market, because why would you leave money in the bank, right, when rates are low? And so what you do is the yield curve is based on the date as well as interest rates over time. So right now, the 30-year is being priced at 2.34%. And so a yield curve looks like this, and I'll pull just a random one. And this will make sense with respect to bonds in a second. It's fun to talk about. Okay. So I'm going to pick just a random one here. This is from 2013. This is old data, but basically this is what the yield curve looked like back then. Okay. And so and let me actually get a better example. I'll go right here. Yeah, because I can't see the y-axis. So right here, this is one from years ago. And so this basically is, at this point in time, whenever this was made, is what the market is pricing in for government debt. Okay, and the lowest risk investment is usually U.S. Treasuries. Treasury means government debt. It is what it is. And then what happens is once you get the United States Treasury yield curve or whatever interest rate curve here, then you think to yourself, okay, if I want to invest in a company bond, companies are more likely to go bankrupt than the United States government. And so the way you price those companies, their debt, the investment bankers and the debt capital markets folks, what they do is you price it at a premium up here, okay? And the riskier the company, the higher the premium here. But it's all based off of this yield curve, which again, you can get directly from the Treasury website here. And it changes all the time, right? And so if you want, what you can do is, let's go back to, Let's go to the early, too bad I can't go to the 80s when interest rates were 20%. But let's go to a period when rates were higher, like say '04. Okay, let's go to 2004, see if we can get this data. All right, here we go, good. Yeah, so if we go back in time to 2004, January 2nd, 2004, you can see that rates were higher then, okay? Not materially higher, but they were higher. And the 30-year was I didn't list it here, but the 20-year was double, more than double what the 20-year is now, for example, right? So that's basically an indication that people felt more confident about the economy back then because people were expecting, higher rates in general. Yeah. All right. Now, in terms of losing money, yeah, you can absolutely lose money when it comes to investing in bonds. Absolutely. I don't think you'll lose money on U.S. bonds, right? It's all relative. That U.S. is the last company, so to speak, that would go belly up. It is what it is. But if inflation spikes, you might. So if you want, what you can look at is something called Treasury inflation protected securities. Okay, and the ticker there. Let's go to finance.yahoo.com and never pay for any finance software. Okay, do your research first. In tips, this is government debt, and it stands for Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. Treasury is U.S. debt, okay. Which inflation protected means that if inflation goes up, these will go up as well, right? So you're protected, hence the name, Treasury Inflation Protected Security. All right. All right, let's mix it up a bit. Let's go for gold. And so I installed what are called Dmx Lights here. And I'm a nerd, as you know, a techie. And I connected them to pedals and all that stuff. So what I can do actually is I can control the lighting behind me here, the colors, with a bunch of pedals here. I was trying to get my corporate colors here. We're trying to go network, right? So we're trying to be like a real network longer term. That's what this business model is going to morph into. It's going to be fun and only positive news and no sponsorships. I will never take any sponsorships from anybody ever. And I get offers all the time, like really good offers too. But I'll never do it because I never want to sell out. Because my students, I want to stay pure and true to you. I don't want any sponsorships at all. So if you go to my website and then you go to press here, I have this written here. Please note, we do not accept any sponsorship deals of any kind, regardless of the compensation amount for any company. We also do not accept or make any partnership deals of any kind at my company here, as we are 1,000,000% focused on adding tremendous value, humbly if we can, to my amazing customers, my students. Yeah. But what I've done is I've got what are called Dmx Lights, which means it's actually brilliant. You daisy chain with cables a lot of different lights, and you can control them, right? And people usually control it with software, and I have a software panel up there. But I've connected these things down here, right? So this is me being interviewed when I'm a criminal. Yeah. This here is one side. You get dramatic lighting, right? Like Martin Scorsese does, and this is the other side as well. And this is all on, yeah. And then I can also change the background as well. And I had a smoke machine hooked up before as well. So let's do gold for a while, eh? Okay. All right. Next up, Anurag is saying, former Goldman Sachs CFO and CIO Martin Chavez says all workers in the future should be prepared to learn some form of coding. What's your take on it, and how should one prepare? Yeah, no, absolutely. So the easiest way to learn coding is to take courses by Angela Yu, and Angela and I are talking about potentially partnering up, and I've got a call with her next Wednesday morning. But let me show you. So she is the best teacher on the planet. Okay, she's amazing. She's based in London. She used to be a doctor, and then she decided that, hey, I want to teach, which I think is a noble profession, and she's great, and she's the best at it. So what I recommend doing is going to Udemy and just do a search on Angela Yu. Here she is here, Dr. Angela Yu. Yeah. And her ratings, I'll never get ratings that high. I don't know how she does it, but it's only a matter of time till she's the #1 best-selling teacher on the platform for sure. But so you can learn all about coding by taking her courses, and there's a money-back guarantee as well. And I recommend her courses because I think they're great. And a lot of my students love her courses too, right? And this is going to read 10 million students very soon, I bet you. So you could take her, I would start here, the Complete Web Development Bootcamp. It's an easy course. It's 55 hours long. You'll know everything about web development as well, even if you have no background at all. Okay. You can also then take her Python bootcamp, and she makes it easy and fun to learn as well. You can learn iOS development, Android, all that good stuff. So check that out. Take her courses. I think they're wonderful. Yeah. And she inspires me and all of us Udemy teachers as well. Okay. All right. Next up, Khalil is saying a company can go bankrupt and get no money. And if that's a follow on to an earlier question, let me know. Yeah. Okay. And next up, Marwan is saying, and I'm smiling because my best friend Jason Denny, his name is Marwan, great guy. He's named Marwan. Yeah, he's from Lebanon. Yeah. So Marwan wrote, "Hi Chris, thank you for doing this. My pleasure. Thank you. I'm a finance student and I want to work as an equity analyst in a mutual fund. What internships and entry-level jobs should I look to get?" Yeah. So what I would first of all say is network aggressively using LinkedIn. You can take my complete job course on Udemy or go to my website or take my MBA course. I do it in more detail. But your network is your net worth. And relationships are more important than product knowledge. And so what I would do is after you get a perfect LinkedIn profile, which I teach about in my courses, then what I recommend doing is reaching out to people that have one or two things in common with you. Maybe they're from the same hometown and they work obviously at a mutual fund. Maybe they're from the same hometown and went to the same school as you. And then just set up coffee meetings or Zoom meetings. And Zoom meetings are easy to set up. Nobody's asking for them, which is, I think that networking in this COVID era is easier now because nobody's asking for meetings, right? But you can do it over Zoom, and my students do it all the time successfully. Yeah. So I think what you should do is meet with everybody that went to your school or from your hometown using LinkedIn, okay, that work in the mutual funds that you want to work at. Okay, and once you get those informational meetings, then what I want you to do is I want you to give them stock pitches and one-page write-ups. And I explain exactly how to do this, and I provide you with templates as well in my complete financial analyst course. And if you want to check it out, you can go here to learn.harounventures.com. Take my complete job course and my complete financial analyst course or my MBA degree program. I promise you it'll help or your money back. Yeah. All right, let me get rid of my propaganda on the bottom. Replace it with the logo. There we go. Fun. All right. Next up, hey Fred, how are you? Fred wrote, Chris, I hope you had a wonderful break. Thank you very much for the great tips. You're most welcome. And I think you sent me an email a couple weeks ago. I hope I responded to it. I get so many messages. I'm so sorry I missed a lot of them. But God bless you. And yeah, happy belated Easter. Next up, Dummy Indices wrote, you've taught us that if a company has a growth rate of 15% for earnings, the rule of thumb is the fair price, PE, should be 15. If growth is 20%, PE 20% likewise. What's the theoretical justification for that conclusion? Yeah, thank you for asking that. The theoretical justification is that the S&P 500 index historically trades close to 15 times earnings and has a historical growth rate of close to 15% for earnings. Okay, and that's how I got the PEG ratio of 1. 15 times PE divided by 15% growth. Yeah. And if that didn't make any sense, or if you have follow-up questions, please let me know. Thanks. Okay, next up, Kuban Media said, hello, Chris, what's your opinion on the Coinbase offering? Yeah, direct public offering, yeah. I know a lot about this company. I know the founder, Fred Ursum. He was a trader at Goldman. He's no longer with the firm. I had him in my office years ago, back in 2012, 13, whatever it was, on venture capital panels I organized and stuff. He left the company. The rest of the management team is amazing. I think he's great as well. I'm always a firm believer in investing in axes and shovels and whatnot for gold rushes. I'll give you an example. So back in 1849, when a lot of people came to the West Coast in America for the gold rush, and that's why there's risk takers here. It's embedded in the DNA subfabric of the essence of the West Coast here. But when people came to the West Coast to try to mine gold in 1849, the people that made the most money, or a lot of them at least, were the people that sold the tools. And back in the 1990s, some of the best internet investments I made were in companies that sold the tools, the plumbing of the internet at that point. Cisco, ticker CSCO, when it was a growth stock when John Chambers ran the company. And so I'm a big bull when it comes to cryptos, investing in companies that create the infrastructure. Because if the crypto market is real and it works longer term, they're going to do great. If it doesn't work out as well longer term, a lot of cryptos can go belly up, but they probably won't, because there's always a need for infrastructure. And for those of you not familiar with Coinbase, it's a company that has a cryptocurrency wallet as well as a cryptocurrency market. One of my students asked me the other day, how do I value it? And they were looking through the S1 filing, which means the IPO prospectus. And I said the best way to think about it is, because it's a hybrid model, right? They have kind of like a wallet and a market. You probably want to look at other payment processing or wallet-ish type companies like PayPal. Or Square, whatever it is. And those are the publicly traded ones. That's part of the valuation. And the other part is to look at publicly traded stock markets, like the TSX. And I worked in that IPO. That's the Toronto Stock Exchange. I worked in that IPO at Goldman back in 2002. And then you obviously want to adjust for growth as well, because Coinbase is growing faster than those payment processing companies I mentioned, and the markets, like the Toronto Stock Exchange, obviously. And so that's the best way to look at valuing the company. Yes, it's very expensive, but I think what we need to do when we're valuing companies, and I teach my MBA students this, is we need to create financial models that are 5, 10, 15 years out, and value our companies that we look at based on the price earnings multiple we come up with in 5 or 10 years, rather than just today. Otherwise, you'll never buy a growth stock. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Next up, Dummy Indices is saying, what's the difference between alpha hedging and delta hedging? Which is better? This might be naive question. How to do them? Yeah. So delta is a little difficult because that just basically means the rate of change. Alpha. When I hear the term alpha, when I used to work in the hedge fund industry, when they say how much alpha did you generate, it means how much did you beat your benchmark by. And so if your benchmark, or what you're being compared to, is the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 is up 10%, right? And you're up 15%, then you've generated 5% more than the market, meaning 5% alpha, right? Or they call it 500 basis points, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, Alex is saying, hello, I want to ask your opinion on stable coins. A lot of exchanges offer 5 to 9% monthly just to keep your money in these coins. Would you recommend stable coins as an investment? Yeah. So the best advice I can give when it comes to this sort of thing is, and I never tell my students what to invest in. I instead of giving you a fish, I humbly teach you how to fish. Because if I give you a fish you can eat for a day, teach you how to fish you can eat for a lifetime, as my hero once said. But if you want, what you can do is you can go to this web address here and then just take my complete cryptocurrency course if you want to. And I'm actually mining cryptos right now on the floor. Let me see if I can actually, I'm going to wing this. Okay, I'll bring my mining computer up here and I'll show you how I'm mining Ethereum right now. Okay. And while I get it set up, if you want to, what you can do is you can go to the following website to monitor this cryptocurrency mining machine that I use. Go to harounventures.com/crypto, CRYPTO, okay, right here, and hit enter. And you'll see here that I'm mining. Oh, click here. Yeah, Chris Haroun's mining computer. The computer I'm about to put on my desk here, I'm mining Ether, okay, which is on the Ethereum platform. And I'll explain exactly how all this stuff works if you're curious, okay? So right now I'm mining, I've got $65 worth of Ether here. And once it gets up to 0.2 of an Ethereum token, or a couple $100, then I'll get paid automatically to my public key here for my Ether wallet, which is on Coinbase. So give me a second what I'll do, and let me just clean up my mess. Here's my kids. And I'll put my mining computer up here. And if you have any questions at all about mining, let me know, because I've made every mistake there is when it comes to mining and everything in life. All right, give me 1 second. It's a bizarre contraption I've got here because I had it mounted on the ceiling for my MBA students. All right, so I'll do this here, and then what I'll do is I'm going to raise up the table as well. I wish I had my top-down camera today, but I don't. All right, and let me go full screen on you, and I will explain how all this stuff works. 1 second. There we go. Good. All right, good. All right, so let me clean up my desk. When I used to work at Goldman Sachs, they used to say, a clean desk is a happy desk. All right, and I will put this up here so you can see it. I love going off script, eh? Okay, good. Great, okay. Yeah, so basically, and I had it mounted to the ceiling before when I was teaching my MBA students. So this here is a computer. Ignore all the stuff attached to it up top, okay? This here is a computer I built from scratch, okay? And so the reason you have them like this open and not encased in plastic is because it gives off a lot of heat and you want to keep it cool, okay? And you buy the cheapest parts you can possibly find, except for the graphics card, which I've got there, okay? So it's working now because it's moving, right? When it's not mining, it's not moving. And so all I've done is I installed on here Microsoft Windows. And so when you do that, when you install Windows or Linux or whatever it is, you buy a motherboard and then it has a USB token or USB slot on the side, and you buy Windows on this, right? It's USB, or you just download it, okay? And so the most important component here is the graphics card. Nothing else matters, right? You buy the cheapest processor, right? The cheapest motherboard you can possibly find, etc. And then you obviously have get a good power supply though, because you don't want to start a fire. Yeah. And so the way to do it, and let me turn it sideways here for a second, and then I'll run through. There we go. Yeah. So right there, you can see what's spinning in the middle there. That's the processor. See it right here? Yeah. That's the processor. So it's a motherboard with a processor on it, 4 gigs of RAM, right? The cheapest you can possibly find. And then the graphics card is the most important part. Now, let me put this down on the ground, okay? It stops spinning, right? Because I turned it sideways, so I'll have to reboot it. And what I do actually is I don't keep it plugged into a monitor, but what I do is I actually restart it every now and then, right? So I'm going to unplug it right now. And what's going to happen, and you'll see this on that website in a second, okay? I'm going to plug it back in. And when you create these computers on your own, totally wing it, this is fun, eh? When you create these things, the bizarre thing is they don't turn on unless you buy a little start button. So I'm going to turn on now. There we go. Okay, good. So what's happening now is the computer is booting up, and what's in the Windows Start menu, what's in the Windows Start menu is the mining software, right? So I don't even have to connect this to a monitor, right? It'll just start. And then it'll start automatically mining. And the way that you do it, and I'm going to show you everything quickly here. Let me put this down on the ground. All right. Oh, I got the YouTube picture, first of all. This is what YouTubers do. They point, and then they take a screenshot of that. So I'll put this bad boy down here on the ground. Yeah, I'm good. Then what I'll do, go to my corporate colors here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to build this quickly and the software as well. Okay. So on that website that I told you to go to right here, this is mining software. Okay. That's being monitored. It'll show that it went out for a second here soon. Okay. And so what happens is the computer, the graphics card is hashing. That means mining. Okay. It's mining right now at 40 megahertz per second. That's how fast it's mining. And a lot of people try to overclock or turn up the power on their graphics card a lot, but I think that's dangerous because you could fry it that way and start a fire. And so it's hashing at that rate, 40 megahertz per second. I have solar on the roof, so electricity costs me basically nothing. And so this is how much money I've made so far. And once it gets up to 200, a couple $100 here, when this whole line is filled, or zero point 0.2 Ether, then I automatically get paid out. Okay, it automatically sends to my Coinbase wallet for Ether right here. Okay, and you can all monitor this as well if you want to. It's kind of fun. Yeah, and it's called my Haroun Ventures Miner. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm doing it as part of a pool, because you can't, it's so hard just to mine by yourself. I used to be able to do it with Bitcoin. I used to mine a lot of Bitcoin actually with smaller computers, and I got bigger ones. I bought an ASIC, which means the computer does one thing well, and then it just got too expensive. So I'm doing Ether here, and I'm doing it as part of a pool on a website called nanopool.org. Now, how do you build this PC, and how do you get all the software here working? Well, you go to a website called a PC Part Picker, okay? And this is what I did actually. And you can actually create from scratch, and I just did this for my students, this is demo here, an entire computer. And it will basically tell you if these are compatible with each other, all these parts, and where to buy them as well. As you pick your processor, your motherboard, all that stuff. I go through this in a lot more detail in my complete cryptocurrency course, as well as my MBA program, where I do a much more updated version even. So that's what you do. So that's how you build out the computer right here. Then what you do is you install Windows, whatever, if you want to, or Linux, if you're really techie, onto that computer that you built out. And then you download software, and it's a lot easier than you think, from nanopool.org. And then what you do is you get your wallet address, okay? So think of this as, this is my public key. It's like, think of this as being my email address. And then there's something called a private key, which is like my email password that you should never give out. But this is my public address. And so what happens is once that it mines enough money, a couple $100 worth, then my wallet on Coinbase, and this is my public key for my wallet on Coinbase for Ether, which runs on the Ethereum platform, I'll get paid out. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Yeah, and it's simple. You just install the software and it runs. All right. But again, the most important thing to look at is always the graphics card. Nothing else matters as much. Yeah. And it's hard to find them, like, because cryptocurrencies are up so much recently, like prices for video game PCs have gone up as well. Like, video gamers hate crypto miners. And you can't find cards, like graphics cards, like that one I showed you with those 3 badass spinning wheel things. You can buy them new if you want to, but they're going to be 200 or 300% above pricing wise, what they're supposed to be listed at. It's crazy. We certainly live in interesting times. All right. All right. Next question here. Haroun from Mumbai. Hey man, I went to Mumbai to give a speech years ago. I loved it. Amazing. So Haroun from Mumbai is saying, Chris, I'm a transitioning veteran from the Navy after 20 years. Someone told me to be successful in the corporate world, learn finance and technology. What are your thoughts? Yeah. Well, I would say just do what you're most passionate about first. And if you're passionate about what you're doing, then you'll be successful. And so what I recommend doing is trying to figure out if you're more passionate about finance or tech. And the way to do that is you can take courses from me. Take my complete financial analyst course, and you can find it right here. Right here. Or what you can do is you can go to Udemy and just do a search on Udemy Angela Yu and take her courses. I would start with her web development course first. But just go to her profile page here. And while you're, if my courses suck, many of them do, they just won't sell. But I would start here with Angela's, web development bootcamp course, and then take my complete financial analyst course. And if you're more passionate about finance, do finance. If you're more passionate about tech, do tech. Yeah. Those are my humble thoughts. Yeah. Let me get rid of that. It's in the bottom. There we go. Good. Okay, cool. I love Mumbai. My favorite, the best food I've ever eaten was actually at the Mumbai airport and the Delhi airport. It was Punjabi grill, and I know you're laughing because that's airport food, but it was the dosa. And people that eat Indian food, like in America, there's a lot of great Indian restaurants here. Nobody knows about the dosa. Like it's the best food ever. It's not on all the menus. You got to ask for it sometimes. People think of tikka masala and all this tandoori chicken is great food, but you got to ask for the dosa. It is the best food you'll ever eat. Yeah. Next up, Holger. Hey, Holger, how are you, man? You wrote, hey, buddy, long time. Sorry I missed our recent MBA classes. Busy days over here. Greetings from Tokyo. Talk soon. Thank you, man. Great to see you. Great to see you. And thanks again, you guys, for putting together that happy birthday video. And I think you did part of it in Tokyo as well, with the Mori Tower in the background where I used to work at Goldman there. Yeah, thank you for that. God bless you. Good to hear from you, man. I hope you're doing well. All right, next up, Rashab is saying, I'm not able to focus on my goals. Please show me the way. Yeah. So I believe that failing to plan is planning to fail. And if you want to get something done, you give it to a busy person. Like when you go on vacation, you're not busy at all. And for some reason, you can't find time to go to the gym. I'm talking about myself when I go on vacation. It's because I'm not busy. And the easiest way to stay busy is to schedule each weekday. And the way you can do that, I'll show you quickly, is go to my website, harounventures.com/schedule, all lowercase, okay? And then what you can do is I have a daily schedule thing here. It's free. You enter it in. You don't have to give me your email or anything. And it's in PowerPoint, but it also opens up in LibreOffice, the free version of the Office suite, Google Slides, etc. And this is old one for me. But what I do is I complete everything I'm going to do the night before on this. Okay. And then at the end of the day, I score myself. I take 10% off if I didn't go for a walk or have dinner with the kids, whatever it is. And this is just my personal stuff. Did I put God first, family? Did I not check internet too much, put customers first, all that stuff, whatever. But I really do believe that and I have a version of this on a much higher end version of this in my MBA degree program. But I really do believe that if you write down your daily goals with this daily planner, for example, the likelihood of them coming true goes up materially. And you got to set a deadline date for your goals as well and tell people, because that will put pressure on you. And I say it with love in my heart to get it done. Yeah. Always set a deadline date and tell people. That's why 95% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the third week of January. They don't set a deadline date. And sometimes they don't tell people that they should. Yeah. All right. Next up, Anurag is saying, hey, Chris, our great mentor. Thank you. We're in a fix. If to go for a good education qualification, as still many Fortune 500 companies prefer, that may be 10 years down the line. They won't. How do we decide? Yeah. So, yeah, and a lot of companies, a lot of big companies don't require you to get a degree, whatever, like Apple and Facebook and whatever. Facebook's not a great company, but yeah, you get the idea. Wells Fargo, IBM, etc. So what I would do is this. I would, it's tricky. It's tricky. But I would set up a ton of networking meetings, right? Let's say you set up 100 networking meetings to try to get the job of your dream. And if you can't get the job of your dream after those 100 meetings, then go and get that degree from whatever school it is. And so think of each one of those 100 meetings as costing you $1,000. Hear me out with this. 100 meetings times $1,000 is $100,000. That's the cost of an MBA from a traditional school, which teaches you jack about how the world really works. And so I mentioned that to network like crazy. And if you can't network like crazy to get the job of your dream, then go to school. That's what I recommend. Obviously, if you want to be a doctor, you have to get a degree. But an MBA is not a professional degree. It's not. Yeah. All right. Harsh is saying, what are your thoughts on India, and what will be your advice for a 19-year-old Indian kid? Yeah. I love India. It's the biggest democracy in the world. You know, I love democracy. I love capitalism. I despise communism and everything it stands for. And a little off script here, but what the Chinese government is trying to do with this cryptocurrency is scary, like tracking people. Ugh. No, but I love India. It's the biggest democracy in the world. I'm very bullish on India longer term. I've invested a lot of money over the years at big hedge funds, etc., and my own personal money in India. Everything from Satyam, Infosys, Wipro, to private companies. I used to be on the board of a company called Cohesity. Sequoia led the A. My previous firm, we led the B. Mohit Aaron is the founder, and he's from Hyderabad, has a great setup there. Amazing offshore. It's great. And I'm a big fan. I even invested in Crompton and Greaves, which is the engineering construction company there years ago, Mahindra, etc. I love it. I absolutely love India from an investment perspective longer term. Yeah, I'm bullish. In terms of advice for a 19-year-old Indian kid, as you wrote here, just find an occupation you enjoy, and you'll never have a job for the rest of your life. And watch that movie, which I'm sure you've seen already, called 3 Idiots. You must know all about it. It's the #1 Bollywood film in history. Came out in 2009. It's made close to $100 million. I saw it on my vacation. I laughed and cried a couple times. But I think every parent needs to watch it, and every young person that's not sure what they want to do. And the bottom line message of that movie is do what you love, and you'll be successful. Okay. And then love the Big Owl wrote, you're awesome, Chris. Thank you. And I appreciate that. I like your name there, too. It's pretty cool, man. Yeah. All right. Next up, Holger, who's one of my MBA students based in Tokyo, is saying, thanks for the VIX lesson. Very useful. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. And then Tony wrote, thank you. God bless. God bless you more, brother. Thanks. And I know you're a Habs fan, Montreal Canadiens, but I had to tease you about the Maple Leafs. Not the Maple Laughs, yeah. And then Benjamin saying, I just wrote my first book per your recommendation. Nice, dude. Awesome. I just sent you a copy. It should arrive from Amazon. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope you like it. And congratulations, Benjamin. So the address I have for if you found my address, it might be a corporate address in San Francisco, which is a mailbox that I rarely check. But thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah. And by the way, a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you guys remember, but everyone thought my mom came on the call, and I was touched. And I was on vacation with my parents last week, and I told my mom, I said, Mom, thanks so much for coming on the call. Her name was listed and everything, right? And commenting. And she said, honey, I don't know what you're talking about. And she's totally with it, my mom, much more than I am. So isn't that scary? It's kind of crazy. Yeah. But congratulations, Benjamin. That's awesome. Very cool. All right. Next up, hey, D'Angelo. D'Angelo saying, good morning, Chris. Love the background. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have you found there to be, let me change it to my corporate colors there. Yeah. I forgot to use this other camera here too. Okay. Morning, Chris. Love the background. Have you found there to be a relationship between negative comments and the price of a course? Yeah, a price to comment ratio, if you will. Oh, how interesting. Yeah. No. I mean, it's no, not at all. Most prices in general, or most courses are priced the same, right? And then they're discounted and all that stuff. Yeah. But I've never seen that. But I will say, obviously, if you get more negative comments, the course is not going to sell. And I've taken courses down because the ratings weren't great, you know. Yeah. It dilutes my brand, so to speak. And I get the weirdest comments, dude. Like a lot of them are helpful, but I had this one guy who gave me like a 1-star review, and he wrote, "I'm watching this course in my underwear." But what is that? Yeah. But some of them are mean, but I laugh at them sometimes. It's like mean tweets with Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. And unjustified criticism is always a disguised compliment. That's what you got to tell yourself. So bring it on, haters. All right, next up, Tanzil wrote, what are your thoughts about lying on a resume? Don't ever do that. I think it was the CEO of Yahoo got caught doing that, Veritas as well, a bunch of other companies, you know. Yeah. It's they lied. They went to Stanford or something like that. No, don't ever, never, never. Yeah. It takes 30 years to build a reputation and 30 seconds to ruin it. Yeah. Yeah. Never, ever worth it. Yeah. Okay. And transparency builds trust, always. All right, next up, Verla is saying, I need a good investment platform to put my money on. I've been investing in so many platforms, but none has ever proven productive. Yeah. So I don't, what I would say is this, whatever country you're in, this applies to everybody. What I want you to do is just search the web for the 5 biggest banks in your country, and then call all 5 of those banks and ask them, do you have a brokerage division, meaning a division where you can buy stocks, right? And then get the name of all 5, and then do research to find out which ones have the best customer service and the ones that have the lowest price commission-wise for trades. Yeah. And also make sure that your money is insured, right? So the way it works in most countries is governments insure you up to a certain dollar amount for each bank you have money in. So in the United States, if you have $250,000 in a bank and the bank goes bankrupt, the government will give you that money back. It's called FDIC insurance. Yeah. Or Federal Deposit Insurance Commission or something like that. Yeah. Every country is a different dollar amount. Yeah. And if you have the luxury of having more than a certain dollar amount, then use multiple banks. Yeah. All right. Next question is from Harsh, who's saying, what will be the future of companies like Google and Amazon as they are technology companies? Yeah. Yeah. So I think that I think those companies are too powerful and they're going to be broken up. So for example, Google, and I think if it weren't for COVID, the previous administration, the Trump administration, would have gone after Amazon. Yeah. Amazon did a wonderful, their delivery people are amazing, especially given COVID, what they've done. Please tip them. Yeah, if you can. But I think Amazon is going to be split up. It's just too powerful. Amazon controls the most important software platform on the internet that people don't really talk about. It's called Amazon Web Services. And without Amazon Web Services, companies like Netflix, Dropbox that used to use AWS, as well as Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, those companies wouldn't exist. So Amazon is a powerhouse, not just in the software platform market on the cloud, but also, of course, in the home delivery industry, Kindle and all that great stuff. It's too powerful, and it needs to be split up. So it's just, yeah, because nobody is competing. Like there's not that many great retail places to buy stuff from online because of Amazon, right? And ultimately that hurts a consumer longer term because competition is good for the consumer. So Amazon's going to be split up. The same thing with Google, and Google knows this too. That's why they rebranded themselves as Alphabet. They know, but Google owns the 2 biggest search engines in the world, right? It's a big time monopoly. Of course, those search engines are YouTube and Google. So it'll be split up. So will Apple too. I'm seeing Apple do things with the App Store that is just destroying innovation. So they have this arcade service now where you subscribe to Apple games only. It's not fair, man. Like I haven't seen innovation on this thing in years, man. Like when these things first came out, there were so many cool new games that came out every week, like Where's My Water, Cut the Rope, remember that? Field Runners 1 and 2. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing cool here, right? There's no new, groundbreaking apps. And I think part of that is because, Apple muscles their way, into what the top 10 sellers are. By like when you go to the App Store, they show you the featured ones first. They don't show you, supply and demand in the top 10. And then they've got their own arcade service. And then they've got also Apple Music. It's not fair to Spotify. It's a monopoly, right? Or an oligopoly, I should say, with Apple as well as Android with Google. And I think it should be regulated or broken up. Yeah. Or innovation dies. All right. Next question is from Dennis. Dennis is saying, hello, Chris. Hey, man. I want to ask you, how do you take risks? Do you bet everything on one thing and hope for the best? And when do you know to take a risk? Yeah. So I always look at what's called a risk reward. And so when I invest in a company, the reward is the upside from where the stock is now to the target price, right? My target price based on my research. The risk is how much downside do I see? Maybe it could be a technical support level or a valuation floor. And so the upside, of course, has to be much bigger than the downside. So the risk minus reward has to be very, very positive, very positive. And for me, when I do research, I like to invest in 5 baggers, right? A 5 by 5, which means I think it's going to go up 500% within 5 years. I'm a growth investor, always have been. And I'm wrong a heck of a lot of the time, obviously. But the ones I get right, I get really right. Yeah. And when you do research, ask yourself, in 5 years, is this company or stock, whatever it is their product or service going to be more or less relevant than today? And I know it sounds simplistic, but keep that as part of your equity research process, right? And it'll make you longer term focused, and you won't be a tourist in a stock and sell when everyone else is. You won't just be renting a stock, you'll be an owner. And in my MBA degree program, I provide you with an insane number of awesome, humbly, templates for you to use to conduct all types of investment research. I teach you how to fish. Yeah. All right. Next question is from Harsh, which is, should I move to the USA or any other Western country? From India, right? God, no. India, India is it's the biggest democracy in the world, and it's a growing market. Yeah. No. I'm very bullish on India longer term. Very, very bullish. Yeah. I don't think you need to move to any country to be successful in business anymore either. You don't have to be in Silicon Valley to start a tech company. What the whole world has proven to us over the past year, given COVID, is that, big companies or startups even can get by from working remotely from home. And the cost of computing has fallen dramatically. So you can start a company for next to nothing. And I teach you how to do this in a lot of detail in my MBA degree program. But you certainly don't need to move to the USA if you want to be successful in business at all. You can access all American customers online anywhere, from anywhere in the world. Yeah. Manas, how are you? Manas, another one of my great students in India. So Manas is saying, good morning, my dear mentor. Hope all is well. I missed you last week. Thank you. Likewise. And then he wrote, it's been 52 weeks now since I joined the Haroun education family. It's been awesome. It's a blessing to call you my mentor. Really enjoyed every moment of it. So I started podcasting from today. Excellent. Congrats, man. That's awesome. And the great thing about doing a call like I'm doing is I always like to repurpose content, right? And so we can work smarter, not harder. And so if you go to my website, what I do is I repurpose this weekly call in a podcast as well. And it should be here somewhere. Yeah, right here. Yeah, I haven't really advertised it. We've been doing it for more than a year. And so, yeah, you can listen to this. Yeah, kind of fun. Yeah. But repurpose content, which I learned from Gary Vaynerchuk. Yeah. All right. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. And then you wrote, I invite you to one of the episodes of the podcast. So I know your schedule is booked all day, but can I get like half an hour of your time, your rules, but my podcast, LOL. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So send me a LinkedIn message and I'll look for it and I'll send you my Calendly invite and we can set up a 20-minute slot. Yeah, it'll be fun though. It'll be fun. And then you wrote here, I was browsing your website and I found this. You have a page which says your company invests in educational startups. What is that? I'm a little bit confused about it. Yeah. So, yeah. I have done a bunch of ed tech invested, but I'm not really doing that as much right now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we got Heathens Nations Music, H&M. How are you? Happy Thursday, everyone. Everyone deserves a second chance. I love you. And you wrote here, Chris, I have 2 questions. Number 1, can you share what you're reading right now. And then, yeah, I'm not reading anything right now. I don't really read books as much. I do listen to audiobooks, but I don't really, yeah. I like documentaries on Netflix and stuff. And what am I watching? Oh, I watched the Tina Turner documentary on HBO, which is amazing, dude. She's amazing what she's overcome. She's so damn inspirational too. She was in an abusive marriage, married to that bastard Ike Turner, and she had the courage to leave that prick and just reinvent rock and roll. And nobody has the voice like Tina Turner. Nobody ever has. No, I don't know if anyone ever will. She's amazing. So check it out. So that's what I'm currently watching or just watched. Yeah, I love Tina. Then you wrote, can you share, about a month ago, you had offered me the MBA course for free via LinkedIn. Is the offer still good? I remember the what we talked about there. Yeah. Send me a message, but remind me, please, in LinkedIn that you're Heathens Nation's music. Yeah, thanks. Okay. And God bless you. And so Manas wrote here, so I helped Tony Shark and Shark Tank go public. Congratulations to you. And please do congratulate me. Congratulations to you. Now, I am finally a Morgan Haroun Sachs graduate, and I know who Tony Sharks is. Yeah, and these are some of the fictional characters in my MBA degree program and my other courses as well. Yeah. Gordon Lizard. And I got that from Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. Yeah. You wrote, it's one of the greatest courses in online history. Thanks, everything, my mentor. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Next up, D'Angelo wrote here, do you use a ceiling mount for your short throw projector? Do you have to screw the light screen with, yeah, and a special, I'll show you actually. Yeah. So Matt Lacousse, my wonderful chief creative officer, he came over yesterday and we installed the screen, and you could tell, like last week, it's been brutal because I drywall part of the wall, and you can see that as part of the screen. Yeah, but the screen right now is, let me see if I can actually turn it on, and I'll show you. Let's go up here, and let me turn off the lights here in the back. Hold on. There we go. Yeah. So this here is the short throw projector, and what short throw means. And I was watching The Mandalorian, and Matt came up with this great idea. So I don't like green screen. Because what green screen does is it's so hard to get the green reflections away from the side of your head and stuff. Even in the Captain America movie in 2011, if you look on the size of the shield he holds, you can see a little bit of green tinge, right? So the Mandalorian, the way they film it is they don't use green screen. They actually use a projector in the back wall. And there's this new technology called short throw projectors. And what that means is you can actually... that's Pinocchio. You can actually show slides in the back, and the projector is it's a short distance, hence the term short throw, 6 inches away from the wall, right? But yeah, I'm having fun with this, but let me show you how I set it up here. All right, I'll move the camera here. All right, here we go. So I am going to pan up a bit. Look at the cables. Yeah. Let me go here, and this is going to take me a second. Yeah, there we go. Right there. It's behind. It's that box in the background up there. Let me just leave it here while I go and show you. And I know it looks tidy here, but the floor is a disaster. And I have this here to block the hair light. Otherwise, the hair light gets into the camera and messes the camera up. But behind the hair light here is the box. Okay, this box right here. And if I put my hand here, I block the wall. Right, so it's only 6 inches away. Right, it's a box up here. Yeah. Now, in terms of the, let me lower that, and I'll show you the screen in a little bit more detail too. All right. So, yeah. So the screen is here, and I have it just perfectly in place. Hold on a second. Yeah. So if I turn this here, I'll do it carefully. That's the edge of the screen. Yeah. And it's like a 10-foot by 8-foot screen or something. And it's motorized too, so it's connected directly to the Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second here. It's connected directly. All right, it's good enough. Yeah. It's connected. The screen is connected to this motorized unit up in the ceiling. And yeah, everything here is either on wheels, but mainly on the ceiling. And we have pipes everywhere on the ceiling that we drilled in, or Matt did. Matt Luke, who's my great chief creative officer. Yeah. So let me go back through this and just turn this off here. There you go. Good. And I'll turn the lights on here. Blue. Whoops. Whoa. Sorry. This is my next course I'm working on up there. Sorry. Let me get rid of that. Pay attention pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. There we go. We're good. Fun. All right. And give me 1 second to get rid of that stupid little mouse thing there. Sorry, 1 second. Hidden. Good. Okay, we're good. All right, next question. And this screen here, D'Angelo, also is special. It doesn't absorb light as much. So if I have ambient light in the background, it's anyway. Yeah, it's just the way it's designed. Yeah. Okay, and Dummy Indices is saying, I didn't quite get the logic about the PE. Kindly do elaborate. If a company has a 15% growth on earnings, then why should one pay 15 times earnings per share? Isn't that too high? No, God, no. No. Look at any publicly traded company, any growth stock especially, yeah. If you can find a stock, after you've done the research and you love the company, the management team, all that stuff, that is trading at a price earnings multiple that is below its earnings growth rate. In a nutshell, if you're happy with the research and the other aspects of the business, it's a great company to invest in. Yeah. Look at any company. Look at the earnings growth year over year, and look at the PE. If the PE divided by the earnings growth is less than 1, you want to roll up your sleeves and do research on that. Yeah. So, for example, if a company has a price earnings ratio of 15 times, and it's growing earnings at 30%, then 15 over 30. That's how we think about it. 15 over 30 is 0.5, way under 1. Yeah. Next up is Heathens Nations Music is saying, does it matter what crypto wallet one uses? It does. It does. And so the way to think about cryptocurrency wallets is there's something called a hot wallet and one called a cold wallet. A hot wallet needs electricity for it to work, like the internet. So Coinbase is a hot wallet, right? Because you need to have a computer on to use it, right? Whereas you can get these little token wallets that look like this. This is a clicker, but they look like this by a company called Ledger Nano or Trezor. And you plug it into your USB port, and then you unplug it. So it could still exist and not be on a computer that's on, which is hot. That's a cold wallet. So the best way to think about it is a hot wallet, I like to think of it like a checkings account. Okay, money you're going to spend or whatever it is. A cold wallet's like a savings account, right? And you want to protect it more so. So I think of my Coinbase account as my hot wallet, right? And so if we go here to our mining here, our mining computer right here. So right here, actually I got to share the screen first. Yeah. So right here, this here is account not found. It should be there. It was the one I showed you before. Yeah. I'll hit refresh again. Unless somebody hacked it already. If you did, good for you. It's awesome. Yeah. Worker not found. Huh. Is it on? Give me 1 sec. Hold on. Nope. It's on. This is a website error, not on my end. Yeah. And there we go. Good. Yeah. So right here, this account here, this is my public key. And this links directly to my Coinbase wallet. Okay. And so once I've made, I think it's several $100s worth, then it will automatically get deposited to my Coinbase wallets. Okay. Right here. And this here that's my public key right there. Yeah. It's like the web. Here we go. Now we're back on. Yeah. Yeah. So this is over $60 here. So far it's been, yeah. And once I get to a couple $100, whatever it is, which is zero point 0.2 Ether, then I'll get money deposited automatically here in this public account, public key here. Yeah. On Coinbase. Yeah. All right. And then next question is, do you teach how to build a mining computer on your crypto course? I do. And in my MBA program as well. And if anybody is interested, what you can do is just go to this address here, learn.harounventures.com, to check out my crypto course or my MBA program and all my other courses. Yeah. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, as always. My logo in the corner. Fun. All right. Next up. What kind of graphics card? AMD? Yes. Yeah. I can't believe NVIDIA's market cap is way bigger than Intel now. It's amazing. Who would have thought, man? I remember years ago, Intel wanted to buy NVIDIA, but antitrust would not have blessed that deal. But AMD's graphics card is actually Canadian, right? They bought a Canadian company called ATI years ago. Which is such a brilliant acquisition. Yeah, broke my heart. We don't have enough tech companies in Canada now, although Shopify is kicking ass. All right, next up, Manas is saying, what I see cryptos being mined, so cool, but a side question, do I need a laptop for mining it? Yeah, I wouldn't use a laptop. I would use, I would build your own. Yeah, and just get the cheapest components of everything, except for the power supply, in case. You got to be careful. And also get a good graphics card. And you can go to pcpartpicker.com for more details. And one thing I have to mention is, if you're going to mine, please get something like this. I started a fire when I built an earlier version of that computer way back. What happens is this. Like, if you have a plug, any plug in your house, whatever it is, like, and I tell my kids, right, I'm pretty strict about it because I don't want fire to start. What I do is I tell my kids, look on the back of the plug and on the back of the unit, the product, and make sure the voltage matches, right? And I've melted plugs before by plugging them in. And I started a fire actually on a crypto machine like this by plugging the wrong cable into the wrong slot. They look the same. And so what you do automatically is one hand goes to pull the cable out of the wall quickly, and the other one goes, spray this. And get these for your kids too. There's one called Fire Gone. This one's called the Fireman, whatever. These are light, and your kids can pick it up. Like the big red ones, dude. Like, good luck. Like my youngest kid, he can't even pick it. It's too heavy, right? So get these things. Plus, people don't know how to do that. My kids don't, but they know how to do this because Fortnite. Yeah. So please get these in your kids' rooms. Yeah. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I never will be, but you got to get this. All right. All right. Next up, comment here from Benjamin. Angela Yu's courses on Udemy are fantastic. I bought several of them. They're awesome. Yeah. She is the best teacher on the planet. Yeah. All right. And then Salim wrote, a lot of love from Morocco. Thank you. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. And that's the way I remember the countries at the top of Africa is Male, M-A-L-E. Morocco, Algeria, Libya, and Egypt. Yeah. Moroccan couscous, the best couscous on the planet, right? All right, next up, Anurag is saying, hey, Chris, I invite you to India once the situation is normal. I would love to treat you to masala dosa, my favorite food too. Thank you. I'll take you up on that. I will. Thank you. God bless you for that. And for all of you that have not tried a dosa, it's I can't understand why it's not the most popular food on the planet. It's the first time you tried a dosa, it's kind of like getting a fresh donut just baked from Krispy Kreme. Like, that's how good it is, but better even. Yeah. Hisham, how are you? Hisham works with me. Hisham wrote, and he was one of my students at San Francisco State University as well. Great guy. My favorite school on the planet. It's the only Bay Area school where you have brilliant students that are not entitled. Oh, that's going to come back to haunt me. That's there. A lot of schools in the Bay Area don't have entitlement, but smart kid. Oh my, I'm getting myself in trouble. I just love San Francisco State. Yeah. So Hishin wrote, "Good morning, Chris. It's been a while. Just dropping in to say hi. Love the new backdrop. God bless. Thanks, brother. Thanks, and I hope you're doing well. Great to hear it from you. Yeah." And then you wrote here, "Can you please shed some light on what happened with Credit Suisse and Archegos Capital?" I don't know what the issue is there. Let me do a very quick search here. I apologize. Let me hit refresh, make sure my monitor is working. All right, so let's go here to Credit Suisse. Archegos. What is this? Archegos linked stocks. Okay. Okay. All right. They invested in the company and they lost a couple $1 billion selling stock tied to it. Yeah. The collapse of yeah. Oh, it's a hedge fund. Hedge fund scandal. Wow. And Bernard Madoff just died. And of course, he had a very big investment firm as well. A couple hours without any dad humor. Yeah. I'll look into this later. Thanks, dude. But what Warren Buffett has said, and I'm currently working on making the complete options and derivatives futures course. But Warren Buffett has called derivative instruments financial weapons of mass destruction. You know, the leverage can absolutely kill you. Yeah. And that's probably what happened there as well. It usually comes down to leverage. Like a lot of hedge funds went belly up in the fall of 2008 because for every $1 that the firm had in capital, they had $10 invested. And the prime brokerage firms, like the investment banks, will let you do that from a credit perspective if you kind of have an equal number of longs and shorts, right? But when these trades unwind, you're a stockholder. It's disastrous. Yeah. Leverage is dangerous. All right. Great to hear from you, Hisham. I missed you, brother. All right, next up, Dummy Indices wrote, I love dosa. Also, idli sambar. Try Bengali cuisines. Very cool. It's extremely diverse. Also, Bihari and Rajasthani cuisines. You'll find Darwin's Law in cuisines. Dishes evolved, and the best were selected over time. Oh, I like that. It's like educational Darwinism, like teaching online. Yeah. And you wrote here, penny stocks have low to negative beta. Yeah. I don't think you can have a negative beta. No. Because the rise over the run. Yeah. Penny stocks you would have, a low beta. Well, it all depends. We can't generalize all of them because some of them trade in line with the market, meaning a beta closer to 1, and some don't. Most probably way above 1, if they trade at all. Yeah. Usually pretty illiquid. Careful those things. Yeah. And then you wrote here, again, from your teaching, it's clear that smaller companies have greater growth. Small companies are also penny stocks. Do you suggest any optimization for return? Yeah, I'm not a fan of penny stocks. So on most major markets, in order to be listed, you have to have, the stock's got to be at least $4, usually, like NASDAQ, NYSE, etc. Yeah. Penny stocks, sometimes it's on the Canadian junior gold miners or whatever it is. But they're just too risky for me. I don't recommend penny stocks at all. Yeah. But smaller companies have greater growth. That's right, because they're smaller. Like it's like if you look at like a company like Oracle or the U.S. economy, those are big companies, so to speak, or big entities, and they're not growing fast. It's not their fault. They're a victim of their own success. They're just big. It's a law of large numbers. Yeah, and every wonderful growth stock eventually becomes a value stock because growth slows. Yeah. All right, and if I didn't answer your question correctly, please let me know. Thank you. Next up, we've got Augustia. is saying, hey, Chris, thanks for the webcast. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Not a question, but I just committed to NYU Stern, great school, to major in finance. Excellent. When you're there, great school. Look up Damadorian. He's the best finance professor on the planet. He's fantastic. Yeah. And the reason I know about him is because I worked at Citadel years ago, a big hedge fund, and I spent a half hour in Ken Griffin's office talking to him one-on-one. And I looked at his bookshelf, and I saw Damadorian books. And so, of course, I ordered them. Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations on that. And then you wrote, your courses made financial analysis fun and played a huge role in my decision. Thank you so much. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Enjoy every second. The best school to go to in New York, it's got to be NYU, because the downtown campus is awesome too. It's kind of like, for those who aren't familiar with the area, it's like the TV show Friends, like the apartment they lived in that area, Central Park. Yeah, and by the way, that apartment is actually based down there close to NYU. It's awesome. It's so much fun there, man. Yeah. I miss New York, but then I had kids, so I'd rather be where I am now because I have kids. Yeah. Enjoy every second. And dude, make sure you network aggressively, especially with alumni when you're there. And I think Alan Greenspan went there as well. It's a great school. Yeah. Have fun. Enjoy every second. Every second. Yeah. And go to Webster Hall. Yeah. That's where I used to go partying stuff there. Yeah. Thank you for that. Okay. Next up, Stars Alights is saying, hi, Chris. I'm Atindra. From your YouTube and video production courses. I don't know if you remember me, but I keep bugging you with questions. No, you never bug me. Yeah. My question is, can you trust hardware crypto wallets? Yeah. So I think so, but when you buy these things, like don't buy them from Amazon because you don't know who's selling them. And when you buy these hardware wallets, you want to buy it directly from the website itself. And when you get it, you want to make sure it's sealed. Okay. The security. Let me show you. And pay more money for the wallets, buying them. Don't be cheap, but pay more money by buying it directly from the company instead of on Amazon, because Amazon's could be hacked. And I'll show you what this means. So if we go to, let's go to, let me hit refresh here. I'm mining in the background. But if we go to Amazon, Trezor. Okay, so Trezor, which which I think is Bulgarian for vault. So you'll see here, it's cheap on Amazon. Let me make sure my head's not in the way. I'll scroll up a bit more here. Yeah, it's cheap on Amazon at $59. Okay, and then if you buy it directly from the source, Trezor official, this is a higher end version called Model T. It's more expensive, right? Or that's Singapore dollar, I guess, for some reason there. But so if we go directly to Trezor, you want to buy directly. Oops, that's the wrong site. Give me a second. In Russia, don't ever buy anything from this website ever, please. Okay, Trezor. Give me 1 second. Trezor.io. Don't go to Trezor.ru. Okay. Yeah. So what you should do is buy directly from the website here. Okay. So you click shop, obviously here, and get the cheapest one. You don't have to get the highest end version at all, right? Like get the cheapest of the cheap, like the Trezor One White. God, the price have gone up. Yeah. That's what I would do. And then also the other one I suggest looking at is the Ledger Nano. Here it is here. Yeah. So I own a bunch of these. All these ones I'm showing you. I've tested them. They're great. Yeah. And always get the cheapest one. Never get the highest end version of the Model T or whatever it is, like they have with the Trezor. Yeah. This is great. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, get the cheapest Ledger Nano you can find here on this website. Yeah. They haven't really changed the product. It looks the same as it did years ago. Yeah. $119. Yeah. And you want to buy it here, never on Amazon, right? Don't be price sensitive when it comes to these things, because they can be hacked. And when you get the box, make sure that it's fully encased, it's closed, and hasn't been tampered with, of course, either. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I got to do a tech thing here. All right. All right. Yeah, so those are the two I'd check out. Yeah. Again, Treasury and Ledger Nano S. All right. And then next up, Gahan wrote here, "Hi, Chris. I really liked your crypto course on Udemy. Keep doing the great work on YouTube as well. Thank you. And I appreciate that. God bless you." And what I'm doing now is it's my most ambitious course ever now. I'm doing. And by the way, that crypto course that I made, it took me 6 months, day and night, working on it. I even rented a data center in the Czech Republic for my promotional trailer. But what I do is I hired this guy to check everything. He was amazing. And then the NSA knocked on my door. It was crazy. And it was funny because it was the first time I had Matt, one of my partners here, over to my house. And the NSA knocked on the door. And I was like, "Hi, can I help you?" And it's because they were doing a background check on somebody I had hired to help me with the crypto course. That's how much I researched it. And I think they were doing a background check because they wanted to hire that person. Yeah. So I said nice things. And I put my diaper on. I was scared. Just kidding. Yeah. When the NSA knocks at your door, you got to, yeah. I think I'm probably a little bit too transparent sometimes, eh? Yeah, but no, my next course, though, it's the complete options course. And I'm teaching it using a lot of props as well. So this obviously is a hockey stick. And I love Wayne Gretzky. He said that the reason he was successful is because he skates where the puck is going to be and not to where the puck is. And these things, and the reason I'm using this for the options course is because options is all about the rate of change. Right, so I'll be talking about this, and I have a ton of other props as well. Costumes from the 1800s, as I dress up like a farmer in one scene as well. Yeah, you guys will like it. You'll think I'm crazy, but that's okay. Yeah. All right. Raghav wrote, "Hey Chris, remember me? Good to see you. Double high five to you." And Anurag is saying, "Hey Chris, what's your mantra to be so calm and composed at all times? Your attitude for handling people questions live is incredible." Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, part of it is nurture, part of it is nature. And I make a lot of mistakes, but I just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of chill, I guess. But what helps me a lot is I tell myself whenever I get worried that, God already knows what's going to happen. So that puts me at ease. I think we worry too much. I think we really do. And I read this great book by Dale Carnegie called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And what Dale Carnegie does is he teaches us to live in what are called day-tight compartments. Like you can't control. Focus on what you can control, which is also a very famous ancient Chinese proverb. Winston Churchill, once said, "I once met a man on his deathbed. He talked about all the worries he had in his life, none of which came true." We always worry about the worst case scenario, which almost never happens. So just always keep the faith. And for me personally, I just, again, tell myself, God already knows what's going to happen, which puts me at ease. Damn it, I can't remember what question I was at now. I'm just kidding. And then Hisham wrote here, "Thank you for the kind words, Chris. You're most welcome. Great to see you. Excited about the options and derivative course." Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah. And I remember you well. You used to sit front row on the right side at the Daly City campus. I think. Yeah. I remember that. And you always ask great questions. Yeah. And then he wrote, "Dude, I miss transcribing these videos. Let me know if I can help out at anything else here." Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and things are going to pick up too a lot because I'm, the MBA thing is awesome. It's going incredibly well. But just doing those two other courses as well. I'm doing the complete real estate course as well. And there's going to be more comprehensive parts to both those courses added to the MBA degree program as well, as I'm always updating it as well. But there will be a lot of stuff to do. Thank you. Pratik, how are you? You would have a nice day. Likewise. Next up, we got Ryan B., who's saying, when do you hope to have the options course published? Yeah, so I don't know exactly yet. I don't know. Yeah, it's this year for sure. Definitely before Black Friday, which is the biggest sales day for everything on the internet, as you know. And the reason they call it Black Friday is because the retail industry is so damn hard to make money in, to the extent that retail companies are in the red, meaning they're losing money, all year long until the third week of November. And then they get into the black. And Black Friday is a big holiday shopping day. It's interesting. Yeah. It will be out this year. Yeah. And then Dummy Industry is saying AMD traded below $2 back in 2015. That's basically a penny stock. And I knew the CEO very well then. At the time, we were on the board of another company together. Yeah. Nice guy. It was a small company in terms of absolute earnings. Today it's trading at $82. How to optimize portfolio with such stocks. Yeah. And it was a great turnaround. So turnarounds don't usually work in tech, usually one per decade. Like in the 90s, it was IBM. Lou Gertzner, who used to work at McKinsey, he basically turned that company into a services and software company and got rid of all the hardware, which helped margins a lot. And then in the early 2000s, Apple, I guess, his jobs returned, although he returned in 97. And I guess last decade it was, or a decade before, whatever, it was AMD. Yeah. No, last decade was AMD. Yeah. All right. And let me see here. And Manas wrote, "Thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you forever and your family forever." And then you put a bunch of emojis. Thank you. Those are my favorite ones. God bless you more, brother. God bless you more. Awesome. Okay, cool. And then Dummy Indices. And if people have questions, type them now. I don't see that many questions left, so I'll wrap up the call in a second. I'm happy to do this for until 11, but if there are no more questions, let me know, unless I'm missing something here, and I'll hit refresh. All right. Next up, Dummy Indices wrote, in your last answer about risk, you talked about risk-reward ratio. You said about floor valuation as downside risk. Did you mean the intrinsic value? Does the intrinsic value really exist? Yeah. No. What I mean is this. So whenever you're looking to invest in anything that's publicly traded, you roll up your sleeves, do a lot of research, and I provide you with a ton of tools or arrows in your quiver in my MBA degree program to help you with that. But you do a lot of research on the stock or whatever investment is and come up with what you think the fair value is, the target price. So usually it's a lot higher. So let's say that otherwise you wouldn't invest. Let's say a stock is $10 right now and my target price is, I don't know, $20, right? So wow, that's $10 upside, right? $10 reward if I'm right. And then you got to think about, well, what's the downside? And it's tougher to do, but it could be some sort of valuation floor, but quite often it's a technical support level, right? And I don't like technicals, but I do look at it sometimes, to be honest. Usually it can be a technical floor, like the 50-day moving average, where the stock never violates that covenant. And let's say the 50-day moving average is at $8. That means $2 downside from the stock at 10 today. So if the stock is 10 today and I only see $2 in downside, and I see $10 in upside to a target price of 20, then I have a reward of $10 upside minus a risk of $2. So the risk reward is positively skewed by 8. That's what I mean by risk reward. Yeah. All right. And Anurag is saying, "Hey Chris, I sent you a text message on LinkedIn, hoping for your reply soon." Yeah, ask me here if you have questions. This is the best place to ask me here, if you don't mind. Yeah, and I don't get access to all those questions. Like I get an insane number of inbounds, humbly, and I miss a lot of them. Yeah. So the best way to always contact me is right here. All right. Next up, Jasmine is saying, "Hi, Chris from Croatia. Hey, how are you? one of my best friends actually up in Canada, a guy named Tom Karadza, who is the real estate guru in Canada. He's from Croatia. And I was telling Tom recently that one of my favorite people on this planet is Croatian. Nobody knows this, but Tony Robbins, he's Croatian. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. That's why he's so awesome. And I'd love to go to Croatia. Beautiful waterfalls there. I went to Serbia for a wedding in Belgrade years ago. One of my best friends, Corey, got married there. Yeah. So Jasmine wrote, "Hi, Chris from Croatia. Since you mentioned real estate, what do you? Wow, what are the chances? Real estate, Croatia, Tom Karadza, it's amazing. You mentioned real estate. What do you think about wholesaling in real estate?" Yeah, I'm not an expert in that area. I don't feel comfortable answering that question. Yeah, the complete real estate course is going to be more about buying your first place and a couple of investment properties. Like I bought a building in Canada, which I'll be talking about in another condo I'm about to buy in Florida. But I'll be talking about that sort of thing. Yeah. If it's more commercial real estate oriented, like stuff that big companies like CBRE do, that's a little bit over my head. Yeah. And by the way, if you want to invest in real estate and you don't want to buy your own house or whatever it is, you can always buy what are called REITs, REITs, real estate investment trusts. And they're listed on stock markets. You can type up a ticker. And the dividend yields are usually good because by law, companies that buy a lot of real estate and package them up into a REIT, by law, they have to pay out, in many countries, 90% of their profits through dividends. Yeah. Make sure they're liquid too. Okay. And next up, Steve is saying, "Hi, Chris. I can't thank you enough for the amazing job you're doing to impact knowledge to everyone who cares to listen to you here. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Steve." Yeah. And then you wrote, "Quick one. How can I set up a great podcast and the best and affordable equipment to buy?" Yeah. So, I mean, there's plenty of websites you can search for on how to list your podcast. We do it through a bunch of different services. I think we use a portal, but let me show you how we do ours. I'll talk about the equipment in a second too. Okay. But if you go to my website, Haroun Ventures, and then go to About Chris, that's how we say in Canada, podcast, you'll see here that it works on, we got it to work on Apple Music, Spotify, Overcast, whatever, tons of them, right? And so there's a lot of portal services where you publish your podcast. It'll go to all of these as well. Yeah. So anyway, and then in terms of the equipment, what you can do, and I'm going to show you, I'll show you a bunch of microphones here. What the hell? Okay. So up here, this is my backup mic. It's not on right now. Okay. So this one, ow, my shoulder. Okay. So this here is, this is not on now, but this is a Nano. Okay. This is a blue Yeti. Okay. And this is the smallest Blue Yeti you can get. I have a bigger Blue Yeti, which is great. And you know what? Screw it. Let me get it. I'll show you. Hold on a second. Stay with me here. So the headset I'm using right now is it's made by a company called Countryman, and it's the headset that Tony Robbins uses. And the problem with this headset I'm wearing, I love it because it's wireless. I can walk around and, as Tony says, motion creates emotion. I met Tony. He invested in one of my companies. Nice guy. But the problem with this headset I'm wearing here, and I'll switch over the audio from these other units in a second just to show you for fun. The problem is that you can hear the S's. Oh, now that's all you're going to listen for, the S's. And so I put a special thing on the end to de-S it. And there's software you can use as well. Also, it makes you sound like you have a bit of a cold sometimes. And like whenever I give speeches in front of thousands of people at events and stuff, they throw this thing on me, and it makes me sound like I'm a little bit sick. I know it's out there, but whatever. My favorite one is up here. It's called the Shure SMB. It's not hooked up right now, but it looks like this. And this is just to block the hair light behind me. Okay, this one here, the Shure SM7B. Now, in order to use this, you have to plug in which I busted, unfortunately, which is why you're not seeing it live. You have to plug in an XLR port, and then you have to get a special box called a cloud lifter, and then you have to get an amplifier as well, so to speak. Kind of like if you have an expensive stereo, you have a bunch of different units, right? So it's pricey, but the great thing about this unit here that I just threw up here in the air out of sight is that you can hear your deep voice in it, and it's the one that Joe Rogan uses as well. All right, moving on to this one here. So this here, there are two types of Blue Yetis, and so these are entry level. This one here is the Blue Yeti Nano, and it's small, it's cheap, it works. The problem is though with Blue Yetis in general, and this is a better one here. The problem is that it picks up a lot of noise. Now you can set it up cardioid wise so that it only takes noise from here and here. With a couple settings on this one. This one has fewer settings as well. You can also adjust what's called the gain on this unit here. So let me switch over to this and you'll see the difference in sound. This isn't bad, but yeah. But I like to be mobile. So give me 1 second and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing here as I switch over. 1 second. All right, go down here. We'll switch over to the Yeti Nano. Okay, so you'll hear the sound is going to be a bit different as I switch over to this one here. All right, so now I'm using the Blue Yeti Nano, yeah, which is this guy right here, and you can hear in the background a little bit of buzzing. Not too bad because my air conditioning's off, and then you can also mute it here. So I'm going to go dark for a second. There you go. So yeah. You can mute it on there here. So let me put this guy away here. And this is my backup in case I have issues, which I've had before with my mics, right? So when you're doing these things live, you got to have backups. Let me now move on to this one here. Okay. So this one here, test. Yeah. Now this one here is not even on, I don't think. Test. Yeah, it's not working. I don't know why. Let me try to add it. Hold on a second. Go here. USB advanced, see if that works. Test. No, it's not even plugged in, yeah. So I'll switch back over now to this one I'm using. Now, this one I'm using here, I have it hooked up to a Scarlett Solo box. And I'm going to show you all the equipment you need, where to buy it right now. And Scarlett is the cheapest way to go to get a decent quality sound. So now we're back on here. Check. Yeah. So we're back here on the Scarlett rate. Yeah, I use this Blue Yeti here, this model here, to record my first 30 or 40 so courses. Right, so it's decent. Let me switch back to Scarlett. I'm going to go back over here, and then I'm going to show you the equipment to get. All right, so let's go to Amazon. Okay, and I'll go to my orders, just show you what I bought in the past. All right, so let me search for, writing on this damn thing, SM7B. Yeah, hold on a second. Sure. If you want the best quality sound, here's what you do. SM7B, here you go. Yeah. And I got a couple of these things, yeah. So here it is here. It's called the Shure SM7B. Joe Rogan uses this one. It's awesome. However, if you get it, what people usually buy with it, and you'll see in the bottom here, is... right here, you got to buy what's called a cloud lifter box here, okay? And then you have to buy a special unit that will connect to your computer as well, okay? And that's the cheapest one I can find here is called the Scarlett, right? So let me go here to orders, right? So you buy the Shure SM7B, you buy the cloud lifter, and then you buy the Scarlett. Okay, and you can get the Scarlett Solo, like this. This is the one I'm using right here, and this is an older generation, and it's just over $100. And you just connect the cables here, and you got to get a cable as well, the XLR cable. You got to get two of them, one to connect to this, and the other to connect to the Cloud Lifter product. So that's that. Now, what you can also do, and let me make this a bit smaller. What you can also do, if you want, is you can buy the Blue Yeti. Okay. And those are the Blue Yeti you just plug directly in your computer. It's pretty easy. So here it is. Here's the one I just showed you, but this is I have it in black. Okay, $129. And then you can get the cheaper one, the one I had hanging upside down like a bat here, which is called the Blue Yeti Nano. Yeah. And they're plug and play, man. It's easy. You just plug it in, it works. Yeah. They're great. Hence all the awesome ratings it's had over the years here. Yeah. So, and then you want to make sure that your room is somewhat soundproofed. And so what I do is what I've done is I have on the ceiling and on the walls here these panels that absorb sound. And before I did that, what I did was I put blankets on the wall and make sure there's a lot of furniture in your room as well. It absorbs sound. Like when you go to visit a house you're thinking of buying or an apartment, renting, whatever, usually it's empty and you can hear an echo. But if you put furniture in there, you don't hear an echo. And for my complete financial analyst course, when I was doing the voiceovers, when I was showing you how to use Excel, what I actually did was I was at my parents' house when they had it. And I went on the bunk beds we had when I was a kid. And I sat on the bottom bunk and I had blanket all around me and my laptop and my Blue Yeti. And that's how I was recording. Get rid of all the echoes. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right, cool. Next up, Dummy Indices wrote, wow, simply wow, that's perhaps a year of financial studies you covered in one webinar. Thanks, mentor. God bless you. You're most welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you. It's fun. And I used to do these calls forever. Like, I don't know if you guys remember in the early days, like we're on week 132 now, but in the early days, I would go until there's no more questions. And my record was October 31st, 2019. I went 9.5 hours straight without getting up once. Yeah. I'm supposed to be drinking more water. Sorry. All right. Okay. And then Steve wrote here, secondly, I need a photo shoot for my website. What do you advise? Yeah. Let me know what you mean by that. Like a photo shot of you, like professional headshots. Yeah. Provide me with more detail and I'll give you the best answer I can. If you're going to make a website, go to wix.com or squarespace.com or WordPress. And you can buy these or download these free templates as well. So my website, the way I made it, it's really easy actually. All you do is I went to squarespace.com and I made my website. And then what I did was I have a bunch of plugins, right? And so I made all this myself. You guys won't see this widget here, but I do. And so a lot of these are just widgets I get from another website. I pay $10 a month, right? And so if I click here, edit widget, it goes to the Elfsight apps website, and I just change the numbers here. All this stuff, right? It's really easy to do. You don't have to be a coder at all. And even this stuff here, this is a widget, right? And it's mobile enabled as well. Works on mobile and desktop. So all this stuff's pretty easy to do and a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up, Noah. Hey, Noah. First time I've seen you on the call, Noah. I hope you join us again. Thank you. Noah wrote here, which of your courses do you recommend taking first? Your MBA degree program or learn to pick stocks like a pro? I already purchased both. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think you're referring to an entire MBA in one course. And there's the best way to think about it, and let me just go there with you, is if we go here, and let me just go into incognito so it doesn't remember my cookies. But if you go to learn.harounventures.com, I have all my courses here. And let me get rid of my face in the corner. Give me 1 second, please. All right. There we go. Yeah. So all my courses are here on my website, learn.harounventures.com. And so we got the MBA degree program here. And this is over 300 hours, and you can click it and read all reviews and all that stuff. This here is 9 courses for $50 a bundle. And then I've got my other courses here as well, the lowest prices. But if you go down here, this is the one I think you're talking about. This is a $10 course. This is 8 hours long, I think. I made this 5 years ago. It's called the entire MBA in one course. And this one has made humbly millions. It's been great. I feel bad for saying that. Sorry. And then if you scroll down to the bottom here, and I have a free course too, how to blog on YouTube. But I also have a subscription service that we rolled out recently that a bunch of people are buying. It's pretty cool. And it's $99 a month. It's like a lot of my courses. And it's yeah, you get my MBA degree program and cancel anytime. Yeah. So check it out. And if you have questions about all that stuff, let me know. I'm sorry for mentioning the dollar amount. I usually don't do that. Thanks. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I would take, if you bought both, I would start with the MBA one. And then the one you already bought, the other finance one. Yeah, I would start bigger picture, the MBA one first. Yeah. Thank you. Next up, Benjamin wrote here, Chris, I got a call from Amazon saying they couldn't find your address. I'd sent it to 465 Filbert Street address to deliver your book to. Yeah, I think that's my corporate address. So we have that just because we don't give up my personal address. But thank you so much. My wife will kill me. Yeah, we have cameras up everywhere, and yeah. And if you guys get a chance, go to my YouTube page and do a search on cryptocurrency scam. But a lot of things have been happening. It is what it is. Yeah. But yeah, I hope you understand. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And Benjamin, send me a message over LinkedIn. Okay. We'll go back. Yeah. Over on this. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, by the way. Yeah. All right. Anurag is saying, hey, Chris, who is your biggest inspiration in life? And how did you find your mentors and coaches? Yeah, so for me, it's my father. Yeah, he's great. I learned a lot about business from my dad. My dad started a company in the 1970s when I was a kid, and he took a big risk. And he was the #1 medical practice across Canada, hundreds and hundreds of employees, a gazillion offices, and all that stuff. But my dad started his company, and when I was younger, I remember we watched the Blue Jay game together when he was eating his seeds. In between innings, my dad would always, or during the game, he would talk to me about business. And it's lonely starting a company by yourself, right? And my dad was a bit lonely too, but I mean, obviously he's done great, but it's a bit lonely for me sometimes too, to be honest. And so I talked to my kids about business. Yeah. So I learned, my dad definitely. Yeah. Yeah. In terms of finding mentors, there's been so many that have helped me along the way. You'll never make it unless you have lots of mentors, lots of Yodas. You know, for me, the first one was a guy named Murray Chronic, great guy, in Ottawa. He helped me a lot with my confidence, everything in business. He was at Accenture. And then Martin Crisp in the Toronto office at Accenture. And then my best friend, Jason Denny, who's amazing. And then Lisa Shallett at Goldman Sachs. And yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. There's been a lot of great people. Carson Levitt. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have amounted to anything without their help. Yeah. Yeah. Just ask for help. People want to help you. Just ask. Yeah. All right. And we didn't have LinkedIn back then, but if I were to start over and try to find mentors, I'd probably search for people that had, a couple things in common with me. Maybe they're from the same hometown, went to the same school. Yeah. And work in an industry I want to be in. Yeah. And I've set up a ton of informational meetings, and what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you the fact you can do it. 95% of all requests I've done over LinkedIn to get meetings, people reply and say yes. You just have to ask the right way. And you can go to, if you want, and I haven't mentioned this, so people criticized me before for overdoing this, so I'm not going to do it as much now. I just want to help. I don't know. But if you go to my website, harounventures.com, and scroll down somewhere here, you'll find, you can get my networking book. It's free. Just download it. I promise you it works. All my networking secrets are in here, a couple hundred pages, and YouTube links as well. The reason people criticize me is because they said I used to mention it too much on the call. Yeah. And by the way, when you're starting a company, the gold standard is email lists. I know email's old school, but I have an insanely high number of email addresses just because of this book. Given and received, it's prophetic, been true since the beginning of time. All right, let me go back here. Marciano is saying, how do I get into cryptocurrency? I'm a newbie. Yeah, so I'd start with my complete cryptocurrency course. There's a money back guarantee as well. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and it's right here. Just go to learn.harounventures.com. Learn.harounventures.com, and you'll find the course there. It's $9.99. 30-day, 100% money back guarantee. You can take any of my courses and my MBA degree if you want, even for less than 30 days. Get your money back. Yeah. All right. And then next up, Stars Alight is saying, what is your typing speed? Yeah, I don't even know. It's not insanely fast. I still kind of look down. But I use SIRI a lot for typing. Yeah. I use, yeah. I'm a productivity nerd. Yeah. And thank you, Little Sip, for mentioning that about the crypto course. Thank you. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap up this call now. Thanks a lot for your time. This has been fun. So within a couple of hours of this call being concluded, my wonderful staff, what they do is they go through a list of all questions asked, and they put it in the description field. So you get immediate clickable access to all questions, so I can save you time and money, or save you time. Yeah. And I just got a question here. Do you still drink that big bottle every day? Yeah, I do. You can get a knockoff version like this on Amazon, and it's got times. And so right now it's about 11 a.m. and I'm right on track at 11 a.m. But I try to finish one of these every day. Now, I also juice on Sundays. This is my juice. This one here, there's not much in it. I'm doing a juice cleanse this week. It's got kale, raw ginger root, a lot of lemons. Lemons helps you absorb vitamins you take. And it's also got, I think I put a little bit of whey protein in it as well. And this is my coffee, my bulletproof coffee. It's got organic grass-fed butter, a little bit, as well as tons of other antioxidants in there. So I can live to a gazillion years old and keep teaching every day. You know, there's this famous singer, 50 Cent, who said, I'm gonna get rich or die trying. But for me, I'm gonna teach or die trying. Yeah. Okay, cool. Great. So if you subscribe to my vlog, I'll see you mañana. I'll see you every day at 9 a.m. That's when my vlogs drop. I'm an old man trying to be cool. Trying. Otherwise, God bless you all. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you next Thursday, and every single Thursday starting at 8 a.m. San Francisco time. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.